show before the show stuff, though, that I definitely have.
Oh.
Everybody can probably guess where I was yesterday, but out of kindness to this person, I will not say where I was, and I don't know his name. But I saw the biggest head I have ever seen on somebody ever. To the point that like I couldn't help but stare at the man. And what's really made it awkward, is this dude is like maybe 180 to like 200 pounds.
Oh shit!
And like 5'6".
Oh no!
So when I tell you this man
he looks like a bobblehead.
This man had the biggest head I have ever seen on anybody ever, to the point that it distracted me all day yesterday. Like I couldn't help it.
You're talking like Goldeneye, big head mode, like
yeah, dude. I'm telling you, dude. Like, otherwise, I wouldn't say that he was fit, but he wasn't a really terribly out of shape person.
Yeah. Are you talking like tall, wide, a little bit of both?
This guy's 5'6".
No, I mean like his head shape.
Everything.
When
I say it was large,
basically like just dude, scale and like
it was a literal fucking watermelon for a head.
Damn.
Dude. Like I'm talking about like, man, there's no way that guy can wear a normal hat.
Like Hey Arnold?
One size does not fit all. Hey Arnold, but like that wide and stretched out the other way too. Like, dude.
Oh man.
It was the biggest head I've ever seen. I don't know that they would make a football helmet big enough for that. And it was so awkward because of the body it was on that I just, like I said, don't know this person's name. And it's a good drink.
It's just drink. It's good.
It is good. And I'm not normally the type to poke fun of anybody for anything like that, but like, and I don't know that I'm necessarily poking fun now, but it was just the biggest noggin
surprise,
I've ever
just like,
seen.
You know, and everyone says that about Joe Sullivan.
No.
And I just like...
Joe's got a pea head compared to this man. Like, when I say, dude... It was egregious. I'm trying to find something to compare it to.
I mean...
I really am.
Bigger than the Pip Boy box? I don't know if the camera can see the Pip Boy box.
It was like a fucking beach ball.
I mean, the only thing I got is that helmet, but that's normal face size.
Yeah, that's no, it was easily 2 times the size of that helmet.
Damn, it's a big
dude,
head.
It was okay. So do you remember Spaceballs?
Yeah,
that helmet would have been appropriate size for this.
Okay,
it was. I think it had to be like a scientific feat of some type. Honestly,
or
there's
like a Guinness Book of World Records.
There's no way that guy couldn't be in contention for world's biggest head.
How do you think his mom felt?
The gentleman was old enough that he could have been born before that was really prevalent.
Fair.
It was so large it was distracting. And like I said, part of the problem is this is not a big man. This is
right. If he had filled out his frame more, it might look a little more normal.
Maybe.
At least slightly.
Yeah, something could have happened, but you're talking about, like pretty average Joe build on a very, very tiny frame, like 5'6", like sub 200 pounds. Like,
was he competing or was he just walking around?
I didn't say where I saw him at. I just said that it was the biggest head I've ever seen. I'm not going to be unprofessional, but it was
You can tell me later.
It was absolutely to the point that it was fucking distracting.
Fair.
Like, it's the only thing I thought of for probably 6 hours yesterday, and for a while after. To be completely honest with you, I've still thought about it several times a day. He must be really smart.
You got to fit all that brain in there somehow,
I was in Huntsville, so I'm sure that he probably works on the arsenal.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you know what? Make that money.
Make that money,
Make that money, man. Use your brain for something good.
Bro, it was... I'll have to tell you more about it in more detail later to keep it above board a little bit. But it was distracting.
Fair.
The drink is a chocolate vanilla old fashioned, and it was really simple. It's brown sugar, simple syrup, half Jim Beam vanilla, half Crown vanilla, because we're trying to get rid of bottles around here because apparently we have a problem. And chocolate bitters. So fucking easy. Fucking drink it.
I got a little bit of stuff, which could be here or there, depending on where the show goes. But I know some people were maybe paying a little bit of attention to me talking about the RP Diet app and how they were like starving me for the weekend. And like 230 grams of carbs or something. And I did that for 2 days and lost 4 pounds. And then when I put that in, they were kind of like, huh, that's interesting.
Sounds about right.
And so finally, last Friday, or this past Friday, I did my weekly check-in or whatever, weekly review, and they're like, oh, whoops, you lost weight. And I was like, yeah. And I started eating more normally, like towards the end of it and the middle of the week. I was like, I'm not going to follow this. I'm just going to eat normally until they figure it out. You know, they went from, I think it was 410 on my high, like, lifting and work days to 555 in carbs, from 90 to 125 in fat. They wanted to keep me at 230 protein, but I'm probably going to eat 250 to 300 just because. And RP posted a video not long ago about like, oh, we were wrong about protein synthesis and how much you need. And it's like, huh, that's interesting. It's like 0.8 to, I think you have probably always heard 0.8 to 1.2, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's the standard. And they're like, well, you really don't, like the returns you get are so minimal above 1. I think they said it's not worth it. But then there was another study, I think it was done in like 2022, that they had just started like finding and looking at. And they were like, there's actually a significantly more amount from 1 to 1.3 than they had previously thought. So up to 1.3 apparently is the goal.
Things like this change because there's new ways to measure, and there's new ways to science all the time. But I mean, I'll tell you this, and RP has reflected this in a lot of posts too. The benefit of just overeating your protein in general in a weight loss phase is just because it's cheaper calorically than fat is.
Yeah.
And in a weight loss phase, it also, there's nothing inherently wrong with carbs, but we more likely to overeat carbs. So if you overeat protein, you're less likely to overeat the other two. That's the power of more protein. But protein synthesis is better. Fact of the matter, it is better when you're in a caloric surplus. So the need for total protein does go down when you're eating
less
a surplus. That doesn't mean you can't get benefits from eating 1.3.
Right. And then
it just means that the need for that is lessened.
Right. On top of that, when you're taking anabolic steroids, your protein synthesis increases, so you can utilize your protein better. So for those enhanced athletes out there, you can definitely eat extra protein. And
for enhanced athletes and fucking nerds. That's the only two divisions in powerlifting.
Yeah.
I'm messing with you.
I mean,
I'm messing with you mostly. I have been
there's
asked respectfully to stop dumping on natty powerlifting, so I probably need to at least work on it. Move toward working on it.
Here's the thing about a tested powerlifting. They dump on untested powerlifting on a regular basis.
And then ask
not
us,
all of them.
No.
Not all of them. There's the
community as a whole does have a superiority complex for some reason.
Like, I don't know how many people, and these are just random Joes on the internet. They're probably not even athletes. Random Joes on the internet are always like, oh, but did you do it natty? And it's like, I don't fucking care. I genuinely don't care.
My favorite meme ever is the, I could do that too if I was on steroids and the do it then.
Yeah, do it then.
They'll never fucking do it, do they?
Take some steroids, bro. Get jacked. What are you waiting for?
Not to mention, I mean, we talked about till we're blue in the face. It doesn't provide the benefit that you think it does.
Yeah. I think a lot more of the tested powerlifting side has started to understand that as more untested athletes have spoken about it. There's definitely more knowledge out there, but there's more of an understanding of it now. So I think it's getting better.
I also think that they see a gap that's not going to get closed.
Yeah. There's a very apparent gap.
Not going to get
the
closed.
only person they have
is Jesus.
Yeah. And question mark, I guess.
Drug tested doesn't mean drug free.
Yep.
I'd like to say that, I like to give these people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean?
Me too. That's why I've never said like I would never outwardly say anybody
We also just saw Colton Engelbrecht do what Jesus does at 100 pounds less body weight.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
let's go steroids.
Gap closed and then surpassed by far. I mean,
yeah, Hack and Colton are just like taking the world by storm. Hack doing the strongman.
I wouldn't mind seeing Hack's opinion on it because I mean, he obviously ran the IPF.
Yeah,
ran it
until he got bored.
Yeah, I mean he was getting all these accusations when he was a natty lifter. So at what point do you say, I'll show you what the difference looks like, because that's what he's done.
That's what he did.
He said, if you don't think, I will show you what enhanced lifting looks like, and eat my fucking shit. Now he's up until Colton probably, which is going to be argued because of the wraps versus raw thing forever, but best we've ever seen. So, I
mean, I still say Hack is the best, just on the basis of his dot score is still better. So,
yeah, I mean that's fair.
Like
it is in sleeves.
And it's in sleeves. There's no dots metric for sleeves, but we all know there is a direct benefit to wearing wraps.
Although sleeves are catching up. I think anybody that's put on a pair of rigor mortis or Inzer sleeves know that the gap has closed on that a little bit.
SBD, I think, has one that's really...
Also, I mean, there's less incentive, I think, to wrap at the moment because... Wraps are inconsistent. There's less competition. Wraps are also inconsistent, where a sleeve is your sleeve is your sleeve is your sleeve until it tears. But,
right. But then you can replace it with the same brand, same exact sleeve.
I don't know.
I find it to be a lot more. The one time I did wraps and Austin he did bruise the back of my knee. I said I'd never do it again.
Yeah, I mean,
and it may just be because I didn't get enough practice on it to make it worth it. But like,
I was with Brandon when he had that enormously bad quad tear, and he blamed it on
wrapping.
He blamed it on wraps, So, I don't know that I don't know if it's more injury prone or not. I'm not going to speak on it. Right. I'm sure there's probably metrics out there somewhere, but who has time for that?
Nerds, fucking nerds.
I mean, I know me and Austin are probably about to chase an 800-pound wrap squat. So.
Yeah. But he likes squatting and wraps.
There's still a reason to compete wrapped, I think, But there is less competition now, and that's a bummer,
If you look at it like this, what's his name? Justin Zottel won the American Pro Wrap division, untested, and his dots was 573. And Kyle won it in sleeves, or won the sleeve division untested with like a 600 and something dots.
Yeah.
So, pick what you want. I mean,
it's waned a little bit. I mean,
there's just not as many people squatting in wraps.
Yeah, there's not.
I mean, it's just
more and more people enter the sport too, and also, I mean, gear gets expensive, right?
Yeah.
If you're in wraps, well, now you have to have wraps and you have to have sleeves because you're probably going to train 75% of sleeves. Yep. And at some point, 6 weeks out or so, you're going to wrap stuff like that. But the threshold for probably the reason why you see less and less multiply, less and less single ply too, is you're always buying more shit.
Yeah. Shit tears up.
You also have, you definitely have a huge section of the powerlifting community that are probably going to be lifetime novices that believe that the gear is going to be what puts everything together for them.
Right.
That's
always funny to me.
The threshold to enter it was higher and higher and higher. And now as we've moved more to a raw only sport, it's become
easier,
lower and lower and lower. So, I mean, it's easier to get into the sport. I mean, just 20 years ago, it was a multiply sport.
Yeah.
And you had, a need for squat suits and bench shirts and all this.
Because that's what everybody did.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everybody did and all this horse shit, to compete. I could have we could have a whole another episode about multiply and single ply probably.
That's the show before the show.
We end the show before the show and discuss because Zach accidentally said multiply in front of himself.
In front of himself.
I pissed myself off by talking about it. I mean,
it is what it is. It has its own. In my opinion, it's its own sport.
It is a wild, and if you've ever attended one, it really is a wildly different faction of the sport. Got the guys smoking cigarettes between attempts, like out back.
That might just be an SPF. Let's be honest. As much as I love Mark Stiller. Yeah, true. Oh man.
Everybody just drinking in preparation, trying to get multi-ply lifting off of their mind.
I guess I should probably mention. I said I wasn't going to drink last week, or I shouldn't mention it and pretend everybody didn't hear that, but. It was a stressful day.
Confirmed that was a fucking lie.
Yeah. Today was pretty stressful, so,
Yeah, I understand that.
This is one of those things. And actually, this does bring up a good point, and I think we talked about it a little bit a while ago, but when it comes to, like, stress and stuff like that, I kind of feel like if you drink to de-stress, not like getting hammered or anything, but you have a drink to de-stress.
Probably
not daily. There may be some amount of benefit to when you get really stressed, just go ahead and have a drink so that you de-stress as opposed to holding on to all that stress and blowing up or letting it weigh you down kind of thing.
Norton posted something not too terribly long ago. It could be up to a year ago when I say that now because I'm old. And I just have certain things that just stand out in my mind. So, but, he was talking, there's science that says, a beer a day, a glass of wine a day can be kind of beneficial.
Yeah.
Certain things. Also, that's a pretty low threshold, though. Once you start exceeding that number, it almost is instantly, like by that second drink, it becomes
worse.
A point of diminishing. There's a point of diminishing returns on it.
Yeah.
So no, it's not gonna kill your prep. But it could.
It could if it becomes a habit or anything like that.
It definitely is. And you also can't do it in a way where you just save drinks up and then drink them all on the weekend. Like that incredible. That doesn't work. That's incredibly fucking bad. But a drink or two a week is probably not going to derail you.
No.
That does cause testosterone to aromatize.
Yeah.
And it is hard on your liver.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is
aromatization of testosterone is a problem for anybody, gear or not.
Yeah.
And then liver problems is a problem for anybody, gear or not.
Geared. Taking gear, it enhances because your liver's already working hard.
Yeah, your liver is working hard with alcohol without the gear.
Yeah.
So, there is 100% health concerns.
Yeah.
But you're probably right to an extent. If it helps you de-stress, it could be that. The problem, talked about this before, there's so many ancillary things around alcohol. Like you have a drink or two and now you're ordering Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And you haven't had a glass of water in 4 hours because you've been eating drinks and eating drinks. You've been drinking drinks and Baja Blast and eating Taco Bell, and that's it's a slippery slope because of everything that it causes around it.
Yep.
Let alone the actual problems with the drink itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the show before the show. Finally, it got my mind off multiply, and it's back.
You had to mention it.
Yeah, fuck. Welcome to the Sip It and Rip It podcast. I'm Zach. He's Nathan. You can follow us at Coleman_Barbell, at Nathan Skedios, at Sip It and Rip It. You can watch us on YouTube, like, subscribe to us there, leave comments, all that good shit. Listen to us on Spotify podcast, Apple Podcasts, wherever the fuck you get podcasts. It doesn't matter. You can do it anywhere. Rate us 5 stars. Leave us likes, comments on that too. Send us DMs. Tell us we're great. Tell us we suck. Tell us we're mediocre. Just talk to us. Send us questions.
It would be really interesting.
We might have answers.
It would be really interesting to get a comment that said, "You guys are very middle of the road." I wouldn't know how to feel. I'd be like,
that'd be the. Yeah. I just have a feeling that Richard is going to be like typing that as he listens to this episode on YouTube.
Every single
it'll come from Richard.
It's going to be every single video. He's going to go back and comment mid. I'm like, damn it. No context at all. Just that's the overall feel now.
He likes us better than that.
Maybe.
I know he likes us. I don't think he's above a troll job though.
No. Definitely not.
Definitely not. But we're not, we're not above taking a troll job either.
No.
TJs are great. I may have just invented that.
I don't even
ashamed.
I just don't even know where this episode or this whole podcast is going at this point. I'm just kind of,
We get off the rails pretty goddamn quick around here.
I've almost just completely checked out. And I'm just thinking, I wonder if the listeners are completely checked out at this point. They're just like,
I mean, the show before the show is what it is. It can be cut. Like,
man, I that's why I put in the timestamps. Like, if you don't want to listen to the rambling shit, just skip it. We'll tell you when it actually starts and all that.
So, what did you do in the gym this week?
It's a good question. I didn't do a lot. Decided to roll with your suggestion on doing RP 789 singles as the block progresses, at least for this month, to kind of get a bearing, like get my bearings on where I'm at. And then I decided to do the sets that I originally intended to do that I programmed. I'm doing them as drop sets at like, either 10% or 10-pound drop. Just depend. I'll look at it and kind of gauge how I'm feeling, basically, like what seems reasonable for me to do today. So I did like a 505 squat.
It was a good squat too.
Wasn't terrible. Did feel kind of funky, but not too bad. I did a 405 bench press, which was disappointing to me because it moved like 455 did last prep. So it's like, that kind of grinds my gears. But still having 400 in the pocket this early on, not a terrible thing. But
no.
Deadlift, I hit 635, I think. RP about 7.5, but it did pull me forward a little bit, which was kind of funky.
I personally blame the move back to a Texas bar from.
It could have been that, but I didn't feel that on any of my warm up sets. So it was just kind of weird. And when I say pull me forward, I mean like my heels came up and I was on my toes, and I felt my calves just like engage like crazy. And I didn't break it off the ground. And then as soon as my heels touched, because I like kind of positioned myself back a little bit, it just came right off the floor. So it was like not a big deal. Just weird. And then I've been having some weird stuff going on with my right pec. I thought it was going to go away and it didn't. So I got some BPC 157 and I've been taking it. So far it feels fine. I pressed that 405 with no pain, no issues. I kind of think it's the superset that I'm doing with the Smith machine, the tricep extension into the press on the machine.
Maybe too much pressing volume.
I don't think it's too much pressing volume because I'm only doing like 7 sets.
Yeah.
7 sets on that day, and then I have another day that I press and I do 3 or 4 sets, I think.
Sure.
And it's on an incline, so I don't think it's too much pressing volume. I think it's just the stretch is something that my body isn't.
Sure. And there's a reason why RP lists close grip as a chest exercise despite it being more tricep dominant than the regular press. And that's because the range of motion in the stretch is deeper. Your elbows travel further behind your body on a close grip press than it does. People, I guess, just don't understand kinesiology. That's all tricep.
No.
Fuck it is.
It's both.
If you believe it's all tricep, do a test and go do a neutral grip on a Swiss bar and tell me that a closer grip bench press is maybe more tricep dominant, but tell me that it doesn't work the fuck out of your chest.
Yeah. I mean, it might be, like you said, it might be more dominant in the actual pressing movement, but the tension on your chest is going to be extended.
Like I said, the closer your elbows are to your body, the further that pec's going to stretch. So, I mean, they can
stretch
like it or love it, but that's kinesiology. That's movement.
Stretch under tension.
Physics,
is how you get.
I mean,
that's how hypertrophy happens. Stretch under tension.
Yeah, 100%.
So
that's one reason I like the camber bar too, because you can have a regular grip and still achieve the same elbow depth that you do on
the Swiss bar,
on a Swiss bar or on close grip. Yeah. So, argue with me if you want to, but it's physics. That works. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, it is a good tricep builder though. And that's obviously the reason why you're doing it in a superset. So there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Great for triceps. There's no arguing that whatsoever.
But it does hit your chest.
But it absolutely does hit your chest still. Yep. So not getting away from that.
What did you do in the gym this week?
Tore my left lat.
Yeah.
It's probably just a grade 1. There was some bruising, but it was somewhat minimal. And I have full range of motion back. I do not have full power back.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to be a couple of weeks. Right now, I would say we're probably at about 40 to 50%.
Yeah.
But range of motion is good, which is a really, really good sign.
Yep. That's probably a grade 1.
Yeah, it's probably a great one. BPC and TB500 is not here yet. Doesn't really have to be because I'm probably just going to run it until it feels better.
Yeah.
So we're going to start moving it a little bit more this week. It did, like most injuries do, delay my timetable. Where I thought I would be competing in March or April. Likely that will get pushed back.
Yeah.
But, deadlift is also really, really important to me because that's,
a lot of your
half
total.
of my total.
Yeah.
So, got to be healthy for deadlifts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm already kind of accept the fact I'm not going to be healthy for squat. I am a good bench presser, but I'm not an elite bench presser.
Mm-hmm.
Deadlift's something I can be very good at.
Yeah.
And I need to be healthy for deadlift.
Right.
So, I just pulled I did miss 655, but I just pulled 635 beltless. So I feel like 700's downloading with a belt on and chalk and stuff like that. So I very much need that number to achieve the goals I need to achieve. But there's no right now. I mean, I can't put a timetable on it because I don't know. I was playing tug of war with my dog today and had to swap hands because
too much stress.
I couldn't pull a 50-pound dog around. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Nathan's got a lot stronger back than I am, but I can back exercise. I can absolutely throw some fucking weight around, and I can't pull a 50-pound dog across the yard right now. So, not the greatest news.
Very telling.
Very telling. Yeah. And it was simple. I mean, first single move fine, no pain, no issues. I am pulling on a stiff bar when I pull right now, which I believe in. So there's no problems with programming or anything like that. Program is immaculate, like always with Ron. Feel like maybe I just didn't set it well, and that shoulder probably started a little more forward than it should have, and it got overstretched.
Yeah,
Because basically when I initially did it, I thought I dislocated my shoulder. I thought it pulled my shoulder out of place until I hit my knees and was like, this is almost immediately you have that pain radiate from your armpit down to your mid back, and I'm like, this is a fucking lat. Like, which is anytime it's muscular in sports, it's probably a good sign because you're going to get over it in weeks versus months.
Yeah.
If it's a joint issue or back issue, it could take you out. So a pulled muscle is always if you're looking at it with the right frame of mind, it's always a blessing compared to what it could have been.
Right.
So, like I said, initially I thought it pulled my shoulder out of place, and my first initial thought was, now I have to have rotator cuff surgery or something like that. And the pain's bad in the lat. I can't lie to you. But I got over it. I'm getting over it quick.
Yeah.
Not over it yet, but I'm getting over it quick. Also, you've heard us talk about it on the podcast before. A lat's one of the worst things you can tear in powerlifting. It makes it hard to bench press. Can't set your back well when you squat, and then you're probably not deadlifting a whole lot with a torn lat. You shouldn't be deadlifting at all if you do it. So I couldn't break 135 pounds off the ground. So, and I do have a strong back. I've got strict pull-ups at 280 pounds, so it's not like I'm weak in that area, but just happens, man. I got a lot better attitude about it than I used to. Thinking my attitude would have been poorer if it had been another lower body injury, to be honest with you. And also the great thing about deadlifts is if it's heavy or if it hurts, you can just fucking set it down.
Yeah.
It's a lot less committal than bench press or squat is. So,
yeah. Unless you have spotters who can like pull it off you when things go wrong. If you don't have a spotter, and I mean, you think about it, like you were pulling in the mid fives.
It's 550 on a stiff bar.
Yeah. So like
exactly the middle.
But you think about that like compared to, so you're talking like what, 80-ish percent, 85% something.
Yeah, but whatever that is, math-wise,
but what
you don't expect to get hurt on.
Right. So if you're doing that on a squat or a bench and you don't have a spotter because you're like, I'm not going to get hurt on this weight, then the first lift like an RP7. Yeah.
Like most of the time when I've been hurt in times past, there was an indicator. Even if I ignored it, or even if I didn't think it was that bad, there was some type of indicator lifts prior, before doing that. It was just like here 1 second, gone the next.
Yeah.
Like, so it was. I'm not saying it's a freak accident, but like
it's kind of something you can't plan.
You couldn't have planned for. Yeah, there was no pain on my first one. It was an easy lift for a stiff bar. Second one, shit, just
something went wrong.
like I said, we talk about respecting weight and stuff all the time, and I'm not saying I'm one of the best, but I am, between coaching and lifting myself, I am pretty fucking nuanced and pretty ritualistic about my setup and stuff like that. I kind of do the same things over and over again. And there's things like that have to be fixed. Me and Ron work on those things. Mm-hmm. But sometimes your ritual's bad. Yeah. But you try to move with intent. You try to move appropriately and stuff. I honestly think that I just didn't fucking set up well.
Yeah. And sometimes that happens.
It was on my mixed grip pan too, and I have a problem. I am stronger mixed grip, but I set my lats better double overhanded, and I have a hard time torquing that elbow into my body.
Yeah. So
I think that lat started in a stretch position as opposed to a little bit more being contracted tight, one. Yep. And I think that's what bit me, to be honest with you.
That makes sense.
So pay attention, guys, and pay attention to that mixed hand, because it is notorious in powerlifting for causing problems.
Yep.
Most of the time you see it in terms of bicep issues, but there again, if you're like me and have a hard time setting your lat on that side, because I just can't torque in that supinated position like I can.
Right.
Like it almost seems less mobile just sitting here doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But easy fix for that. Make sure the crease of your elbows are facing forward, not toward your knees, but forward.
Yep.
So protect your armpits. That's another one.
That's the one that I always use.
But anyway, take a little bit of care. Other than that, it was a great week. Bench press obviously sucked, but it was mostly unracking it.
Yeah.
Power was good, not great. I felt like I lost a lot of power in the bottom, where I'm normally really, really fast off my chest. I feel like everything was a little slow off my chest with a lat injury. And mostly it was just getting it in and out of the rack.
Yeah.
I have my rack set really high to prevent elbow flare-ups with the tendonitis. And that basically means I'm breaking the bar out of the rack with my lats. Yeah. So, it's basically a lat prayer until it's over my chest. And that definitely caused some pain. I'm doing the bench press competition this coming weekend. I can imagine I'm probably taking a hand out.
Yeah.
Anything over 2 plates, which is ridiculously light for me. But
right. But still.
It's within the confines of the rules, so I get hurt unracking weight.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but really good high bar day. It's really weak, but I'm getting into PR territory on high bar. Absolutely cooked my high bar this week with no ability to set that left side at all. So, pretty much with a loose bar on my back, I squatted what used to be an RP 9.5 single, probably at 6.5. So it was really fucking easy. Bench press moves well, squat moves well. I'm somehow becoming a front squatter. Front squat's moving up. I did have to front squat on the SSB bar because at the time I front squatted, I didn't have the mobility to get my elbows up.
Yeah.
But all in all, other than one deadlift, it was a good training week. So that one deadlift though,
got you
that
good.
Motherfucker.
That's usually how it goes. You got the PR songs?
I always got PR songs, baby.
Shoot.
I might have to think about it.
I just got to pull them up because I wrote a few down. I was actually in the gym listening to a couple of these songs. And I was like, oh, this is kind of badass.
We're going to call this episode Injustice for Hardwired to Self-Destruct, because that was, for old men, that was a really good thrash album. And I don't know why they couldn't replicate that on 72 seasons, but, Metallica's incapable of putting out back-to-back good records.
Yeah.
But my first entry is Moth into Flames by Metallica. So.
Word. I'm going to go with The Furtherance by Shrine of Malice.
Shrine of Malice is cool.
I really, really like them a lot. I started listening to them maybe a year or two ago. It just randomly popped up on my Spotify, random plays or whatever, and I've been following them ever since. Really good stuff.
The next one's pretty simple for me, and it's largely because I want to support my homie and support local music. But this is somebody that's been on the show before, but is No Cure's Kill a Frat Guy. Mm-hmm. Lance is not in that band, but he did a vocal feature on that new song.
Nice.
No Cure's kind of blowing up, so it's a big deal for Lance to be on that record. But his part just fucking kills. Lance does everything well, like always. And the band's fucking good. Like, if you like hardcore, that's good. But if you're like me and a metalhead that dabbles in hardcore, it's a really good. No Cure's a really, really good gap filler. Yeah, because it really feels more like. I wouldn't say deathcore, but it definitely has more of a metalcore, deathcore cadence to it than it does like a hardcore band. They're also slightly better musicians than most hardcore guys are, so it has a little bit more of a metallic sound than most hardcore bands do. But Lance, you did an awesome job, buddy. Really fucking good song, and I like the content, so.
I need to listen to them. Clay Byram actually posted about it not too long ago. It was like today or yesterday.
Alabama bands are, go ahead and plug a couple more. No Cure, Bare Knuckle. If you like shoegazy stuff, No Culture is a friend of mine, plays bass in that band. Alabama music's really, really hot right now, and it's really, really awesome because it's sad that it's not coming from kids anymore because kids aren't interested in playing music apparently. But it's really, really kind of refreshing in a way that the people that are putting this music out are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s and like somehow managing to revitalize a scene in Alabama. And, but it was ours. It was our scene. So I feel like it's our job to fucking fix it. So good on those guys for doing it. But those three bands are definitely bands you should check out.
One day we should record like a little EP or a song. Like
we still need bumper music.
Yeah, we haven't done anything like that. We'll do that one day.
One day, baby.
Maybe in 3 or 4 years when I finish
maybe
college.
When I bring your goddamn guitar back.
I got that one Dad gave me.
I got a brand new setup and new strings on the one that I got at the house. They ain't gonna be new by the time you get it.
They're gonna be all old and rusted and just like, what the fuck? I'll put my last one on here. Might get in trouble for the name. I don't know if people even remember the whole thing about ISIS. Long time ago.
The band ISIS?
No, not the band. The terrorist
the terrorist organization.
But the name of the song is "ISIS Caught in the Knot" by Shokron.
Okay, yeah,
so it's off their new
There's
album.
a great band named ISIS. I'm sure that
there is.
Yeah,
they probably caught some shit,
stonery shit. Their name was ISIS before Islamic State's name was ISIS. So
ISIS is the name of an Egyptian god.
ISIS was also the reason why the name of the spy organization was written out of Archer. That's the name of the spy organization they worked for.
Was ISIS,
and then they had to write it out, like because they were still doing the show in the middle of Islamic State's rise to shitheaddom or whatever, because you can't really call it power, but
right,
yeah, but there's a lot of funny things like politically surrounding that name. People get like up in arms about it, and they're like, a million things was named ISIS before ISIS was ISIS, like.
But now it's tainted.
Suck ding dong. Yep.
That's how people are with everything. Now it's tainted, so you can't. Yeah. 10 years ago, you said this, and you probably didn't change. So
the band ISIS is really good, and you should fucking listen to them. And they haven't released a new record in 10 years, but fucking awesome shit.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with Islamic State. Don't know what to tell you, but nothing to do with a terrorist organization.
But some people out there will be like, they're supporting him. They're supporting him like 20
they
years
literally fucking recorded their last album before Islamic State was a fucking thing. But
people don't want to look that much into it. They just see a name. They're like, I remember that. I have an opinion now.
Especially here in the South, if you think anything remotely. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be terrible to be from somewhere else and live in Coleman County?
Oh, man. You know, there are certain things that I like about living in the South and certain things that I don't.
We are good people for the most part.
I think the good outweighs the bad in the South for the most part, but
financially it definitely does.
Right. But as far as like there are definitely some things where you just kind of look at some.
It's like, God damn.
It's like you're the reason why
it ain't that fucking serious.
You're the reason why everybody hates us and thinks we're stupid and uncultured and just like
this is really show before the show stuff, but Coleman blew up on TikTok this week.
Yeah.
For being a sundown town and all that shit. Let me say this. Anybody that knows me knows I don't support that shit. I think racism is the lowest of the low, and I think that if you think otherwise, you're a fuckbag.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you're obviously a racist.
You're obviously a racist, so you're not somebody I want to spend time with or want to associate with or anything like that. I'll tell you that there's a great deal of what you heard that is 100% true, and I'll tell you that the KKK is still active in this county, like 100%. That being said, people of me and Nathan's generation the people that are younger than us, and there is a faction of people in our parents' generation that are wildly ashamed of this.
Yeah.
And we're not fucking proud of it. And fortunately, we make up the majority of the population now, so you're 100% fucking safe here. If you're not, I'm 100% okay with starting shit with you, and I will help you finish it.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Like, if you feel bad about coming up here, fucking hitting me up, we'll fucking hang out. We'll make sure you go to safe places. If we fucking find trouble, we'll fucking solve it.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Like 100%. But that's not something I'm fucking down with. And I promise, as ashamed of the history as I am, it is more good than bad. It fucking sucks, but not proud of that history whatsoever. And you're only ever a couple of people removed from, that in this town from that history still being alive and well, unfortunately. But not something we're proud of, not something we condone. And if you want to come check out the fucking Christmas market, you're going to be safe checking out the Christmas market, like 100%.
Yeah.
If you're not, I live across the street. We'll fuck people up.
Yeah,
hit me up.
the worst you're probably gonna come across. I mean, there might be one or two people that are in their like 40s or 50s, but it's mostly gonna be like 80, 90-year-old people, and they're not gonna be a threat to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
they're unless they're gun carrying and just like
50
psychotic.
and up. That demographic's pretty strong, I'd say. That being said,
depends.
That being said, the people that matter aren't proud of that, and we're definitely ashamed of it.
And I think more people would jump in. Like, if someone was treating someone disrespectfully like that, I think a lot of us would just jump in and be like, "Hey, you need to go somewhere. Like fuck off.
Fuck you. You're the problem."
Yeah.
Like we don't condone that at all. And I've had that come up with about powerlifting meets I've hosted here and stuff like that. You're safe, I promise. And if you feel like you're not, we'll do everything in our power to make the person that made you feel that way feel unsafe.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've seen that market, and Desi was like, "Hey, we should go check that out," and I'm like, "I guess."
I will tell you this: if you're expecting a Hallmark town, that is also a fucking lie.
Definitely not a Hallmark town.
There's also a problem. Being completely candid, there's a lot of fucking out of town vendors. There's more out of town vendors than there are in town vendors. It's horseshit for supporting local businesses. Local businesses get priced out. They can't afford to be there. So if you come to the Christmas market, I'm not saying don't enjoy it. It's a good time, but you're not supporting Coleman area business when you do it. Right. They're probably from somewhere fucking else. If you do find booths that are Coleman local businesses, spend your money there. But food vendors, stuff like that, they're all fucking from out of town for the most part. So do your research before you go. Try to support Coleman area business. Try to support small businesses, and fuck those people that made it too hard for local businesses to be represented at a local fucking
event. That's kind of fucked up. Like, I don't understand the logic behind that. Like, what is it free to enter, like, the market, or is it? But I mean,
they charge for everything. If you want to go on the Ferris wheel, it's a separate charge from this ride or that ride.
So
obviously, all the vendors are charging their individual fees for whatever services they provide.
So why wouldn't they just like make it cheaper for the people to come in and just charge like an admission fee of like a couple bucks?
Because I'll be honest with you, I think they're they want to sell that Hallmark Town thing more than they want to sell Coleman area businesses.
Makes sense.
I'm looking at you Coleman area Chamber of Commerce, you shitbags. Like, you should be the first people advocating to make sure Coleman businesses are first in that.
Right.
And it's affordable for Coleman businesses.
Yeah.
There's no reason for the city to cop anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 a weekend off of a fucking local business that might not even sell that while they're there at your event.
That's insane if that's how much they're charging.
It's extremely expensive to get into Oktoberfest or into the Christmas market. So
it's crazy to me. I can't imagine, like, 'cause I mean, how much do they really think they're gonna make off of, like, especially like food vendors, like, because a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna spend my money there because it's gonna be expensive to eat there.
And food vendors already have like razor thin margins anyway.
Right.
You've worked in and managed a restaurant. I have too. It's a fine line between making a lot of money and losing a lot of money, and it's like there's really not any gray. It's either you're making it or you're losing it, and there's no fucking in between for food. So I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I will say Jimmy John's margins are significantly higher than most Most restaurants margin.
Because they try to sell you a cold cut fucking ham sandwich.
Yeah.
That you could have spent. You could have made fucking 15 of those sandwiches for the same price as one there.
Maybe not that much, but mostly because the bread, like getting the bread
Higher
for
quality
it.
bread and stuff.
Well, it's not that the bread's expensive. It's just that getting the bread from like a local bakery or from Walmart or whatever, the like French bread is like a couple bucks for like a 12-inch loaf maybe. So like
it's not like you're buying white bread.
Right.
In other words.
And honestly, deli meat is expensive now too, especially if you go to a deli like that slices it fresh. That shit's expensive now.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I've never been a cold cut fan for that very reason though. Like I can eat a ham sandwich at home. Like
yeah, there's something about Jimmy John's though, man.
People that love it love
shit.
it. That's one of those places for sure. Yep. I'm a New Jersey Michael's guy.
I've eaten at Jersey Mike's once and it was not bad.
I like a hot sandwich.
I used to too.
I am.
Like I used to be hot sandwiches only. I'd go to Subway. I hate Subway now. Subway's fucking trash.
Yeah, it's trash. Yeah,
Jersey Mike's isn't bad. Firehouse isn't bad. I will say the last couple times I've been to Firehouse, not a huge fan. Seems like the quality of their food has gone down.
The quality of their
workers have gone down.
Yeah, you said it before I could. I think a lot of restaurants are struggling with that. Like one of my favorite fast food chains is Whataburger.
Yeah,
Whataburger here in town. You might have to wait 45 minutes and be the only person in line because they don't have the staff to make it.
That's tough.
But a lot of local businesses, including myself before I shut down Alpha Nutrition, has a hard time finding help for a reasonable price that actually works when they get there.
Yeah.
It's a really, really hard thing.
It's a hard market right now. And did you hear about Pizza Hut?
Yeah, now they are still open. That was a lie. But,
they are still open.
But yeah, they're having. But I used to work for that company. I used to GM. I GM a couple of locations for that company. And that whole company has been on the brink for 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that after spending all this money to build new stores, that all of a sudden they find themselves in a place where they can't pay employees.
Yeah.
That's a fucking drag, and hats off to anybody that enjoys restaurant work because I fucking don't.
Oh.
And it's a hard, underrated job. It takes an underrated amount of talent, and it's underappreciated. Everybody you encounter treats you like you're stupid because you work in a restaurant.
Yep.
Underappreciated, underpaid across the board.
Overworked.
I work 60 or 70 hours a week as a GM for $750 a week.
Yeah.
Bring home, but that's a disgustingly small amount of money for
60, 70 hours.
Yeah.
Like that's
so, that place was absolute horse shit. So I'm not surprised at all that they can't afford to
pay people.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I've never been a big fan of Pizza Hut, to be honest. Their pizza is just mediocre.
It was better and then it got worse.
Yeah.
They were doing all like the crust toppings and stuff like that when I was GMing, and that made them like a lot like head and heels over better than a lot of other people. But like I guess because of food costs, they went the other way, simplified
tried to make it cheaper, and it kind of sucks. Yeah.
I mean,
same thing with like Little Caesars. It's cardboard with.
That's even worse, but they know it's worse, and that's the reason why they sell it.
That's why it's $5.
They're the Planet Fitness of the pizza world, for real.
Planet Fitness.
Fast food pizza, honest to God, like the most consistent. I'll eat Domino's because it's cheap.
Yep.
And it's consistent.
Yep.
And then Papa John's, if I'm doing fast food pizza, is elite.
It's the best tasting. Well,
Marco's is
very good,
but it's dripping in grease. I cannot stand a greasy pizza crust.
It depends on what toppings you get. If you get their pepperoni, it's always going to be greasy.
It's fucking horrendous.
But that's also because I think their ultimate pepperoni has like 2 different types of pepperoni, and they layer it on like crazy. Papa John's is never that greasy.
I'm a guy that don't like an overly cheesy pizza because the toppings don't get cooked well. Like I need
Unless
everything
you get a
to
pepperoni
be
because they put it all on top.
Yeah, that's fine. But like multiple toppings is okay. I always ask for it well done if I do that. But like I hate an uncooked vegetable. It fucking sucks so bad.
Crunch.
If you do extra cheese, it sucks real bad because like things don't get cooked. Like
that's why you gotta always do extra well done or extra well done or something.
Yeah, hats off to service workers, specifically if you're in the restaurant world, because you're definitely underappreciated. And just because you work in a restaurant don't mean you're stupid. Just remember that. Also, if you're somebody that doesn't work in the restaurant world, fucking tip.
Yeah, please.
Tip and tip well. Those people feel bad enough about themselves because every other customer they seen that day think they're stupid for
Yep.
working in a restaurant. So,
And then they say, "Oh, well, I don't." There's
waiting tables is an underrated hustle, dude. You
It's
can
hard.
make fucking $2,000 a week waiting tables. If it's good.
hard too.
It's fucking hard, but you can absolutely bring home a lot of money doing that.
I know I was talking to a girl I used to work with at Cracker Barrel, and she moved into this like fine dining restaurant in Birmingham, I think. She only worked like a weekend, like she would work like 12 or 15 hours or something. She'd only work 3 days a week. She'd bring home like $2,000.
Yeah, I mean that's not uncommon. I mean, people that do that at 412, all steak, places
Yeah.
like that here in town, like
Places that are nicer that people are going to tip.
it's an underrated hustle, but people treat you like fucking
Yep.
shit. And I feel bad for women in that because if they don't treat you like you're stupid, they treat you like you're a whore.
Yep.
So
It's rough. That's why I always try to be nice to try not to say anything.
also, the chances of it actually being your server's fault if things are bad at a restaurant, pretty fucking slim. It probably got cooked wrong. They were out of something. They're just fucking busy. Server might be having a bad day, and it might not even be their fault. Fucking tip them anyway.
Yeah.
You might be the reason they end up having a good day and turn it around for everybody else.
Yep. Serving is just such a tough place to be.
Well,
I don't miss it.
we've covered everything but powerlifting today.
We have. So you were at a meet.
I was at
this weekend?
Steve's meet this weekend. He had a tough prep. Only could train a couple times a week.
Yeah.
And that made for a 6 for 9 day.
Yeah.
He achieved what he wanted to achieve, and that he intentionally weighed in a little heavier so he could take the 242
Yeah.
records in his
Age
division, which was smart. I applaud him for that. But we're getting ready to go to regionals and hopefully qualify for nationals, so we're actually going to do something cool. But it was just that meh day. Like, that's the way he would tell you it was. He did enough. He met expectations, did not exceed them.
Right.
you know what I mean?
He did what he wanted. So,
yeah,
I mean,
he did what was required to do what he set out to do. He also knew full well going into it that this was the way it was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, we did, and we were in a position that we got to go for broke on. We did get to attempt numbers on third attempts that he had never done before.
yeah.
And he put us in a position to do that. So, it's good knowing that largely untrained and even unpeaked that he was within striking distance of PRs on everything. Right. Steve's somebody we've had on the show before, by the way. So if you want to go listen to some old episodes, you absolutely should.
Him and Dave Hayes were both on.
Yeah, at the same time. And they have interesting perspectives about things because, I mean, they are in their 60s, so training definitely looks a lot fucking different for them than it does for us. And their schedules look different, which is the reason why, Steve struggled this time. But nevertheless, it was a great weekend with Steve. Steve's always great to hang out with. Like I said, expectations were met, not exceeded. Still a state record holder, still a badass. One of the more fun people to be around, to be honest with you. Steve's a really fucking good dude.
He's always laid back. He's just there to have fun. Like,
me and you've already talked about this a little bit. Because I don't want to take away from powerlifting, so I have to be careful about how I say this because I don't want to demean my community. I definitely don't want to demean the local community. Ron had a lifter there that absolutely fucking crushed it. I think it was his first meet, and Ron said it himself. He looked like a veteran, and he absolutely did. He had a really fucking good meet. I can't remember what his numbers were. He looked like he was probably a 198 or a 220. Had a really good meet. There was one other guy in the AM session that I felt had like a really good meet, but it was, I don't want to say disappointed because that's not the right word because you have so many new lifters. I don't ever want to be disappointed in somebody that's never.
Right.
I was surprised AM and PM because me and you just ran down the PM session because I didn't want to speak out of turn and say, take something away from somebody. I was kind of surprised by the numbers in a not so great way.
Yeah.
At a very large meet.
Right. Because Nightmare Before Livemas is huge. It's like one of the PLU's biggest local meets.
Yeah.
In Alabama, I should say.
I came away feeling very, very confident about where I'm at as a lifter, where my lifters are at as lifters, and then where I'm at as a coach.
Yeah.
I don't know what that tells you, but the whole time I was thinking like,
Maybe we're just good.
I was thinking one. I mean, maybe I actually belong coaching this sport, and two, like this event's kind of ripe for the taking.
Yeah,
because it is
right.
Like, lots of new lifters. They all did great. It was a very, very good day. Lots of people that are going to be a problem later. Lots to be proud of.
Yeah.
When you have, in the state of Alabama, when you have nearly a 60 lifter field.
No, it was 82.
82.
Yeah, for the
82 lifter field. I expected
a little more.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
And maybe because of this new schedule, like less.
Yeah, because
we're in a really hard spot for people that are really good in the state because we just come off of nationals.
Yep.
You're probably not fucking peaking for a meet in December. And then we have to turn around now in February and we have regionals and we also have our event that we have newbies competing in on the same weekend. I feel like the schedule has kind of jammed us up.
Yeah.
There's, like I said, there's a lot to be proud of in terms of like first time lifters. There was a lot of masters lifters that did really good. There was a lot of like promising things about yesterday. So I'm not like taking a dump on yesterday.
Right.
There was a lot of amazing things about yesterday. I was just a little surprised at the lack of participation from some big dogs.
Right.
With an 82 person field.
Yeah. Because that is a big field and you think there'd be, and not to take anything away from anybody, I think we said the biggest
There was some
total,
very impressive stuff by some very new lifters.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But I think the biggest total was an untested wrap lifter at 1676, which nothing wrong with that total, especially as a 242. That's a great total. In wraps, not in wraps and sleeves, tested, untested, it's a good total. Yeah. But I guess it's just one of those things where you look at like Ultimate Warrior where we had a lot of like we maybe had 20-30 lifters, but they were a lot of good lifters.
And half of the men totaled over 1,500 pounds.
Yeah, so it's just like
I don't know. Maybe it's somebody. I'm very much worried about my group and not a lot of other people. It's like to the point that Nathan has to fill me in on like things that are happening in the sport, like above our heads a little bit, like things that are happening nationally, internationally, stuff like that. I'm very worried about my lifters and not a lot of other people's. But where is, and I don't know this, but where are people like Tank? Where are people like,
haven't seen
what's
Tank.
The big dude from Huntsville? Dan, I'll think of Dan's last name in a minute. He's a really, really big lifter. He's a 308. But where, I don't know, where are all these guys that you used to see every weekend?
Right.
Like, are we all just waiting for something? Are we hurting, prepping for something else? Or like, is it the schedule? The schedule makes the most sense to me, but like,
I think it's
used to, we had one at every fucking meeting. Like, you know what I mean? And there was like, where's that guy today? You know what I mean?
I think the big thing, right, is that first of all, the schedule, we're having weird turnarounds. So like all these stronger lifters probably want to compete at regionals or nationals or something like that. So depending on where they land, what they've prepped for, what they want to do, money's tight. They can't do a lot of meets all the time. If they want to do regionals, it's like twice the cost of a regular meet. So you got to be like, okay, am I going to do regionals? Am I going to prep for it? Like cost is a big thing. And then also you got to think about these other federations that are out there that are offering better prize support.
Or, I mean, the 365 strong or whatever, like
offering a lot of money, a lot of prizes for a lot of different things. And it's not confined to best dots. It's best dots, best total, best bench, squat, bench, and deadlift. Like there's a lot of different
all of a sudden you have a lot of these elite lifters that were elite but not international elite that are looking at like, well, I can't go wear an American Pro, but I can go win $2,000 at a 365 strong meet. Like, maybe that's it. I'm not sure. I feel like the schedule is what I keep going back through in my head. Like I feel like we're in a tight spot, turning around so fast.
And they know
December to
too.
February would be an insane turnaround for a really good lifter.
Yeah.
Like for somebody that actually wants to add to their total, like that's an 8 week, actually less than an 8 week turnaround. Really, by the time
February 8th, right?
So we got like 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're prepping for it. So you tell me. maybe that's it. And I'm not, like I said, the future of powerlifting is really bright in Alabama. You had 82 lifters that did really, really fucking good. You had some good stories. Saw a 13-year-old competing his first. Looks really, really promising. He was out of Awakening in Huntsville.
Awakening had a lot of people.
Kristen, was a local meet a very local meet for them. Kristen Bridges, who used to be one of mine, came back from nerve damage in an arm to bench press pretty good, and then I think she platform PR'd her squat and her deadlift.
Right.
You had a lot of masters lifters like Steve, a couple other gentlemen, Shannon Brown, some other guys I didn't quite cut their. I watched a 70-year-old deadlift 518.
That's bad.
That's right. That's bad as fuck, right? Like, so it's not taken away from the day. There was a lot of amazing things that happened on the day, and I sound like a spoiled sports fan right now. But I was just surprised that even in the PM, like I said, we double checked this. I didn't need to stick around for the PM, but I double checked this information with you earlier. I was really surprised that like we always have those one or two outliers.
Yeah.
You or Austin, or you and Austin, Dalton, Tank, maybe somebody like, Ron shows up to something like this. Maybe somebody shows up, somebody else like that shows up. But you seem like you always got that guy that's like 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
And like Kyler Kitchens, there. Like, people like that, was it the schedule? You guys, y'all listen, answer me. Right. You know what I mean? Like a lot of you guys I mentioned, listen to this show. Like, where is it? I don't know. Like, is there less appeal to that now? Like,
and
now I know, Ron's coming back from a knee injury, and then he's doing some big shit in the USAPL. But he absolutely should chase, and I'm, as a friend and my coach, I'm super, super proud of the guy. But like I said, used to every weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, I've showed up to SPF meets where like, all the usual suspects win their weight class, but there's always this one guy that shows up with like a fucking 600-pound bench press or something, like that steals it. Like, like used to every weekend you'd have somebody
who's just leagues above everybody else.
Has it like? That begs the question too: has like the appeal grown to the masses and shrank to people that are like genetically gifted to the sport, or is it the schedule, or like strongman seems to be coming on? Are more people moving? Are people leaving like to other strength sports? Like, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of people leaving for bodybuilding.
There's a lot of people who've gotten into jiu-jitsu. Like,
there's a lot of, we lost Curtis to a local legend. Jesse Rogers from the SPF, I used to say he's the only person with 14-inch arms to bench press over 400 pounds. But like, you lose people to other sports. Like, they're like, what is it? Are we all waiting on something else? Like, I still, like the people I know why they're not participating, but like,
well, it's interesting. Like, we're talking about like big names not participating, but also we're talking about an 82 person local meet,
which is fucking huge. It's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.
Like, that's maybe the biggest meet.
Or even like Ventini, like he had a lot of lifters yesterday. Yeah. He had more lifters than any of us outside of Awakening, probably.
Right.
Where
was Lentini's big guys?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm not doing it to throw shade at them, and I've done plenty of that.
Right.
But I'm not. I'm not asking like where is like the top level talent in Alabama, and like is there a reason they're not participating in these local events? Like you and Austin still have to because we got to get qualified.
Right.
So like,
well,
why is what I mean? Like
me and Austin don't have to get qualified because we qualified with our national totals.
That's fair.
But me and Austin have some issues.
Yeah, that's fair. And then we have to work through them.
Yeah.
And it's going to mean another local meet or two before we go to nationals. Yeah. Which is fine. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious because, like I said, used to, there was a dog. Even if there was 20 people in the field, there was an absolute fucking dog that showed up every fucking meet.
At the very minimum, like even if it wasn't someone who was just like amazingly talented, he was just significantly better than everyone else that was there that day. Like, we're talking like a 200-pound swing in their total or something like that. Yeah,
well, it's like most of the time that lifter of the day gets like, a lot of times the local meet, it gets swung hard in one direction. Like
that meet, the 2022 Battle of the Beast that I did, it was Tank.
Yeah.
Like, I was second place to Tank, and he totaled like...
That's an easy person to be second place to.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was like 18 or 1900 pounds.
Yeah, it was something
with like most of it just being first and second attempts.
Yeah, he missed I think all of his third attempts.
Yeah.
but just absolutely dominated the field. Not
Awesome.
peaked,
Well,
nothing.
like I said, there was no shot at the field yesterday. Very, very cool stories across the board. You're going to see a lot of newer lifters do well. You're going to see a lot of older lifters that redeem themselves, stuff like that. So there's no shot at the field at all whatsoever. But, like, us as powerlifters do look up to these other people that show up and fucking clean house. Like, they're people to aspire to. They set a good example. Most of the time, the people that win are the nicest people in the room that day. So, like, there seems, I don't know, this past couple meets I've done locally, there seems to be like that upper tier is missing. Not in the sense of that they're going to win everything, but also in the sense of like, where are they at to show somebody something?
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, in a sense too, like, as we all aspire to be like these lifters that show up. You and Austin are in a place where y'all get to be those lifters now.
Sometimes,
yeah.
it was
But
cool.
like,
I've said this story before, but when I was talking to that one guy about my bench press, that was still pretty cool because it was just kind of like, I'll just take the bench. You're benching way more than me, and I was just kind of like, well, it's not like that, but it was kind of cool to get that kind of acknowledgement that my bench is pretty good. But
yeah. Well, like, it's not about running people, like you know already, it's not about running people out of the fucking warm-up room because you're so much stronger or intimidating, but like, these are people that have spent the most amount of time in the sport, that have tried the most for the sport, that have done the most for the sport, and like, don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
It has to be, I'm hoping it's a schedule thing. Like,
I think
is somebody mad about something? Like,
Right.
I don't know, but I think it's got to be a schedule thing. Right? So,
I think it's probably. I think it's a combination. It may be different things to different people. I mean, let's be honest. There's that's powerlifting in Alabama has gone through a lot of changes in the past 2 years.
And it keeps going through changes.
It's kind of one of those things where it's like a lot of people are trying to keep up, and some people are just like, never mind, like, I'm going to go somewhere else, or I'm going to compete somewhere else, or there's a lot of different things that could be going on. So
I mean,
I think it's different for every single person that is a high level lifter that decided to be absent.
I mean, even I've said myself about this and about my own lifters, like, about some changes that have been made. I've said I can vote with my money. I can go compete in another state.
Yep.
Like, maybe more people have that opinion than I do. I think in retrospect, I kind of regret having said that and feel a little bit like a shithead for it. But I'll be honest with you too. I just personally like a destination meet. I like to go somewhere and make a weekend of it. It sucks to drive 6 hours one direction just to, with my hips hurting, just to go hurt myself on squat to drive 6 hours back in another direction.
Yeah.
So I kind of like a destination meet where I can get there and
vacation,
relax, not necessarily vacation, but relax for a little while, get in my routine for a little while before I go do something like that. But like, not that it's particularly curious. It's just something I feel like I witnessed
right
at the past couple meets. Is it just because there's more federations too?
There's a lot of federations out there,
but there's still 82.
Still a lot of people.
It's a fucking lot of people in a meet. Like, that's not a small field.
I mean, you talk about that. Like, I think that's only slightly less than day 3 of PLU Nationals.
Yeah.
So like,
it's an enormous local meet.
Yeah.
Like, this is like,
I think
again, just to reiterate, because I want to sound like an asshole. It's not to take away from anybody that participated.
Right.
Tried their best. You belong in the sport. I was happy to watch you.
Yeah.
Very happy you're there. Very happy you're participating in powerlifting. But like, coaches were well represented. We had more coaches yesterday, more big name coaches in the state yesterday in that room than I've seen in a while. But like, again, like, where are the
top
lifters?
athletes?
Yeah, where are the top athletes? Like, Ron was there, Lantini was there, I was there, Heidi was there. She's obviously running things. A couple other coaches that are pretty good. Les was there for a little while. You had a lot of huge demographic in lifters, huge demographic in coaching, but the only thing that was missing was everybody, including mine.
Right.
So, I mean, this criticism can come from me too, 100%. But like, where are all of our?
And here's the thing too:
there's like 4 or 5 coaches I just mentioned that we all have some fucking dogs.
Right.
Like, where the fuck were they?
And I can say for myself personally, if I was going to do a local meet, it probably would be that one because it's so close.
It's fucking 35 minutes from where we stand right now.
That's like it's a super easy drive. It's a super, like, I don't even have to take off work. Like, I mean, I could take Friday off so that I can get some sleep. aside from that, like, it's so close. It's super easy today. So like,
there's a lot of appeal for us.
Yeah. So it's not for me. It was the schedule, 100%. Just coming off of nationals, there's no way I'm going to prep for a meet in December.
Yeah.
And then wanting to do regionals because I did want to do another meet. The reason why I picked regionals is because, number one, I can set the national bench press record at regionals. I can't do it at a local meet that doesn't have enough level 2 judges. And then, got what I was going to say.
Yeah,
there's a third reason, but you know,
like, you know, I don't know. Like I said, it's not a shot at coaches. It's not a shot at the lifters that did participate. It's not anything else. But those people set an example to us.
Right.
Like, I think we need to see those lifters because that's what we should be aspiring to if you're serious about the sport.
It's kind of one
and you're still, even those guys are people that struggle at a national level.
Right.
So, like, some of them are better than others at a national level. But, like, y'all didn't, no offense to you, because it's partially my fault. No offense to Austin. Y'all didn't win.
Yep.
Like, so, I mean, we're all, you know, y'all were better than middle of the pack, but, like, I didn't go win. Mm-hmm. So, like, but, like, it's there for leadership purposes. Like, it's important for y'all to be there. It's there for, like, setting a good example. It's there, you know, to show people what they can do if they actually are serious about it and want to stay in it. And it's a veteran presence in the warm-up room. It's people that are going to calm, other than coaches, that are going to calm the nerves of first-time lifters, second-time lifters, people coming back from injury, people that have experience help people like that.
Unless you're just an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll be honest. Again, I feel like even some people that we have an opinion about, like, I don't think any of us in the powerlifting community are just going to dump on a newbie.
No, hopefully not.
You know, I don't think so. And in Alabama, I don't feel like there's one of us, whether we like the team or don't like the team or whatever it may be, or like the person, don't like the person. I don't think there's anybody I can genuinely say that's so much of a dickhead that they're going to dump on, you know, a new lifter, you know, seeking advice or help or anything like that. I just felt like, you know, maybe not in a bad way necessarily, but I just felt like it's kind of missing from a couple of local meets lately.
Well,
it might be some wisdom in that some of us big dudes have figured out that we don't need to compete fucking 4 times a year. You know what I mean? Like, it might be some of that, and it might be the money meets.
Yeah.
What, you know, it ain't mine this time because I put a cap on dots.
Right.
But like that 365 strong out of Florida, man, that's
big.
Yeah, they're probably giving out $10,000 worth of prizes.
Yeah, I don't know how many people have signed up for it so far. I could find out real quick, but I'm sure it's a lot, and that'll probably be pretty.
Is that
telling.
not at the beginning of the year too? Like January, like early in January.
It's soon. I know that. Let me just pull it up.
It's less than 6 weeks away.
That up. If I can.
Like I said, I'm not saying any of this to sound like an asshole. Everybody there yesterday did great. Some people had better days than others, but that's powerlifting. I'm happy to see an 82 person field at a local meet. It's just curious because I feel like that's been a slow and subtle shift in culture that we've only really seen in 2024. That wasn't present in the 10 years prior that I've been coaching this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
so they don't have it on Lifting Cast, which is curious.
Maybe doing pen and paper like the SPF, man.
It's what it looks like because the signups are from their website. Regardless, I was gonna see. I guess I can't. I think I do think there's a lot. I know there's a few people locally that have signed up for it that want to compete. But I do think that has a big appeal to a lot of the heavyweights.
I mean, hell, I can't blame 365 because that's what I'm doing at the garage. We're holding unsanctioned meets for lots of money, and like the fact of the matter is, there's nowhere else in Alabama you're going to win $1,000 if you go.
Yeah.
If you go win it, and there sure as shit ain't another place where you can when you can dots less than 400 and potentially win $1,000.
Right.
So like, whether you're new or whether you're a big dog going to 365, like these meats do have some appeal.
Yeah.
I no longer, after some confirmation from like some local people, I don't no longer feel guilty about holding unsanctioned meats because it's giving people an opportunity to get in it.
Yeah.
And actually compete. When, if you do show up to one of these other meets, you're probably not going to compete. You know what I mean? Like you might win your weight class, but you're not going to be, if you dot sub 400, you're not in the money at the Maverick.
Right.
That's my favorite meet. Nothing bad to say about the meet. But if you do that, you're not in the money.
Right.
You do that at my meet, you could still be in the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I anticipate it's at 400 dots or less to qualify. You can dots more than 400 and win.
Right.
It's not like fucking bracket racing where you can outrun yourself.
Right.
But like, there's very few meets where you can do that kind of thing. And then 365 at the same time, like we're in the Southeast. If you have 450 or better, are you going to win $2,000 for winning a meet?
Yeah.
Nowhere. We didn't win fucking shit at nationals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh man, we did. We got a flimsy bronze medal.
Flimsy medal. But like, we drove 8 hours to St. Louis.
Yeah.
To come in third, which we're proud of. It'll be better next time. Mark my fucking words. But we drove to St. Louis 8 hours to win a medal and probably spent $2,000 a family to go.
Right.
So when else are you going to go somewhere like that and fucking win?
Right. And get paid.
Is it schedule? Is it the money? Is it?
Like I said, I think it's different for everybody. Because like there is some appeal. Like when you talk about unsanctioned meets, it's not going on open powerlifting. It's not going to. You're not going to have records.
But the money's real.
The money is real. So what is important to the individual? Is it the money or is it the status? Right. That's kind of the way I look at it. So for some people, it's just about the money. Like if I can win money at a meet.
That's the appeal of drug tested lifting too. Mm-hmm. I have found that more people are concerned about drug tested lifting because it's the status that you're viewed upon on a worldwide stage, and that's fine. But like you also know that if you go, you can get your USAPL Pro card and make money now.
Yeah,
thank God. But if you're in PA, like you might have to go compete in Sweden, and you're not going to win a goddamn thing.
Yeah,
you might be the best known powerlifter on the planet, but you're not going to.
Yeah,
you're not going to win any money.
Right.
So like, I don't know. There's I'm just curious. Like, are we in a phase where like are all of us that total 1,500 plus like in this weird like space of we're getting ready for something else?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the schedule? Is it the money? Is it a combination of things? Like I said, it could be different for everybody, but like I feel like there's this strange lull of vets,
right,
that are not present at local meets right now.
Speaking of vets, Oldham is making a return to powerlifting. I find that to be really interesting. I'm really excited about it.
And depending on which way you go, whether you stay with me or go with Joe, and you know how I feel about that, I don't care one way or the other. I'll help you, Joe will help you, it don't matter. Potential teammate of yours.
Yeah.
It's a huge fucking change for him.
Yeah.
Because it also is a dynamic shift in a sense because he's going from a really well-known local coach who will remain nameless for the sake of this conversation. Everybody knows who it is.
Yeah.
To Joe, who's an international coach, very, very talented in his own right, probably by status, not by opinion, although I have a very high opinion of Joe.
Yeah.
By status, could be the greatest powerlifting coach on the planet right now. That's a pretty goddamn big shift.
Yeah.
And that is somebody that is absolutely capable of something inhuman.
Yeah.
Probably save everything but the bench press, but he's absolutely capable of an inhuman total.
Oh, yeah.
Like 2,000 plus.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I could definitely see it. I don't know what his weight class is.
He's probably at 242 or 275.
Yeah, I'd
imagine that's going to be dictated by Joe and not by Jonathan.
Probably. But then again, the thing about Joe is if you tell him you want to do something specifically, that's what he's going to do. So like,
that's the way it should be.
If Jonathan told him, hey, I want to be a 275, it's like, all right, work that.
There's people that's come, and Austin made this point, there's a lot of people that's come dangerously close to surpassing him. Like lower level lifters that have been. Yeah. So his return's important for the state of Alabama. Mm-hmm. It's also important for his own status in the state of Alabama and then nationally. that's somebody that very much can be and has been, but could be a very, very good international lifter.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly high potential.
Mm-hmm.
Super fucking nice guy. Don't have anything bad to say about Jonathan.
I think
definitely those guys, Ron, Jawan, Jonathan, some ladies that we have, Quayla comes to mind first. They're all people locally that we root for because they're fucking local. It's important.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's important that Ron goes and wins things. It's important that Jawan does. It's important that Jonathan does. It's important that Quayla does. Like, we're all, if you have half a fucking brain and any heart whatsoever, you're rooting for your hometown heroes.
Right.
Like, I'm not rooting against Jonathan by no means, and Joe's probably going to blow him up.
I could definitely see it. I've noticed
that's somebody that has 900-pound squat potential for real.
I've definitely seen the transition just in a few videos of his training. The difference between what he was doing on his own and what Joe is having him do is significantly different.
Yep.
And it's going to pay dividends if he sticks to Joe's plan and just like trusts him all the way through.
You've heard me say this, but the best coaches are coached.
Yeah.
Like, Ron has a coach. I have a coach. Joe has a coach. Yep. I'm not comparing myself to Joe fucking Sullivan. Don't get me wrong, but like, I feel like I'm pretty goddamn good in the state of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But like, good coaches are coachable, and that also makes their knowledge or their ability to gain knowledge limitless.
Right.
Like, if you can remain coachable, you can be really fucking good as a coach.
Yeah.
Because it's just more information. It's more data, more feedback about yourself. If you know more about yourself, you can identify those things in other lifters. Like, it's only the best coaches are coached.
Yeah.
Period.
100%.
Like, Brandon was the same way when I was with him. His coach was Chad Wesley goddamn Smith. So anything that, I'm like this with Ron. Anything Brandon said, I took as fucking gospel.
Right.
Like, been the same way about both those two men. I feel equally as confident in both of them. But like, I think the best coaches are coached. Yeah. I really do. And like, Joe is like the ultimate example of that. And I feel like Joe is somebody that will tell you the best coaches are coached.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Never stop learning. I mean,
Jake coaches him still, right?
Yeah. I believe so. I don't know if anything has changed there.
If anybody was capable of coaching themselves, it would be Joe. But there's also just a lot of relief in being coached by somebody else.
Yeah.
You get analysis paralysis.
Yep.
Pretty easy coaching yourself.
100%.
I just like the way Ron does things. I don't know what to fucking tell you. He's a peer of mine. I watch him have success. It is what it is. I want Ron to coach me. I want to be taken out of that element so I can just do what I'm fucking told and be. I tell everybody else what to do. I don't want to fucking think about what I have to do. Like, I don't want to fucking do it. And then you learn things along the way.
Especially when you're someone like me and you, like, I see this in myself all the time, especially going through this. I have a plan. I'm like, I know this needs to be done. I'm looking at it, but you can criticize yourself so hard that another coach won't do that to you. Not, another coach, especially like someone you pay for, is not going to sit there and berate you and tell you you're fucking trash. But you will tell yourself that every single day.
But that trickles down to, okay, what am I doing wrong in programming?
Yep.
What am I doing wrong technically? What am I doing wrong this? What am I doing wrong that? And you lose sight of the big picture when you're coaching yourself.
Yep.
Happens all the fucking time, dude.
That's the hardest part. And that's one of the reasons why I've been kind of like getting feedback from you and Zach Rodriguez and just kind of like on lifts and stuff. And like, am I seeing things right? Am I looking at things right? I'm talking to Joe tomorrow night or tomorrow evening, and I'm going to hopefully get some insight on kind of like a plan moving forward as far as like the last 5 weeks. Cause this block is already planned out, and I'm just going to kind of run down with him and be like, can you kind of guide me through this and kind of like give me your perspective on what I should be focusing on as far as things go. We're going to talk about some blood work stuff too, but like that's going to be like the primary is just kind of like the last 5 weeks of prep. What should I look at and like get his opinion on programming myself, like how to make it work.
Sure.
And just kind of like get from point A to point B as efficiently as possible.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think being coachable is just important at every level of any sport.
Yep.
Whether you're a coach or you're an athlete or you're both, like whatever it may be. I think too the biggest thing is I'm on the cusp of making it to you and Austin's level, you and Austin are on the cusp of making it to a serious national level.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're on the cusp of the next level, it's even more important to be coachable because those are the slightest, most minute details to move
the needle
up. Yep. Yeah, you got to move the needle. And you're talking about things too, when you get beyond, slightly beyond intermediate, like I'd say like intermediate advanced, like about to move over to advanced, like moving the needle at all is like of the highest importance. Mm-hmm. Like any motion in the needle whatsoever is like so fucking profound. Like, listen, dude, like y'all are at a point that there's a 200-pound swing in your day based on attempts gained or attempts missed.
Yeah.
Like that didn't happen when you totaled 1,200 pounds.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You total 17 and 18 now. Like the difference in just like the slightest mistake is the difference between 18 and 19.
Yep.
Like, you know, part of that's because that jump to the next 100 pounds is a smaller percentage than it's ever been for you. But like details are so fucking important, more important than they've ever been because, because y'all are that good now, you know? So it's kind of, I mean, it's a tough spot to be in, but at the same time, like,
that's what we're in it for.
That's what you're in it for.
Right.
Yeah. And the better you get at anything, the more, it was like this in music, the better you get as a musician, the more finite things you start to have to learn and practice and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like, it's the same way in powerlifting. It's the same way in any fucking sport. Like, details fucking matter. And that's the reason why you have so many people say they return to the basics.
Right.
Fucking big fucking stigma and big fucking cliche in fitness, big cliche in strength sports in general, but it's fucking true. Like, the better you can squat your body weight, the better you squat an empty barbell, the better you squat sub-maximally, the better you squat maximally. Like, the fucking details fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like, you hear NFL pros talk about, well, I just, you know, focused on mechanics and just how to play my position better. Fucking pays because but you know, we're also doing it on a finer and finer, like I said, finer and finer details all the time, but like, it's not really a return to basics. It's like return to how well we do the basics in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the better quality lifter you are, and the more you can facilitate strength, if that makes sense.
Yep.
That being said, I got to go piss real quick, and then we'll figure out about wrapping this up.
All right.
Sorry about that piss break.
No, that's fine. I was just looking at Instagram, and Zach Dion posted his meet recap for his most recent meet, and pretty tough day. But I don't know if anybody else follows Zach. He there's 3 Zachs in our circle.
Zach is our favorite natty lifter.
Yeah, he's a great kid. But he only totaled 1260 on a 5 for 9 day, but he had a pretty severe back injury, like 7 or 8 weeks out or something like that. Yeah. So honestly, that's really, really good. 2 for 3 on squats, 1 for 3.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He's somebody that normally totals close to 14 though.
Yeah.
So
1260
is a hard day for him.
Yeah, but he had a really good attitude. Just reading his post, you know, he was like, being able to do this after only not being able to rotate my back at all for, you know, several weeks is an accomplishment in itself. Yeah. He's like, on the surface, it doesn't look good, but knowing what I know and coming back from an injury and all this stuff and still being able to do this stuff, really great, you know, and then he's, you know, just on to the next one. So shout out to Zach Dion. I don't know if
Zach's
actively listens.
One, he's a pretty lightweight lifter.
Yeah.
2, he also is a natty lifter. Not saying that necessarily to brag or anything like that, because we talked to him. He had his episode. He doesn't care. We don't care. Natty or not, don't give a fuck. But like, that's 14 is really fucking good for his body weight.
Yeah. I want to say he's a 165.
So I can imagine like 1260 is probably disappointing.
Yeah.
But that's powerlifting, baby. And that's the reason too. I mean, I hate it for Zach. It is what it is. That's the reason why we have to play the game, though.
Yeah.
We talked about this going to nationals. Like we knew that there was probably 50 people there that out totaled you.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. They all have to do fucking 9 attempts. They all have to fucking survive the day without getting hurt the same way you do. Mm-hmm. And you don't ever wish injury on everybody else. But if we know who the winner was, we wouldn't have to play the game.
Yeah.
There'd be no reason to play it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I really hate it for him. That's the guy that's going to total something just fucking stupid at 165 probably. I really believe that about him.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty close to 600 plus on deadlift, pretty close to 300 on bench.
Squat, getting really close to a 500 pound squat. But this is a small person. This is a 165 pound kid.
Yeah.
And he's
a junior.
He's still a junior. So
I mean,
super fucking good lifter.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. I mean,
very, very cool.
Had a very, very mature perspective on powerlifting at large, to be completely honest.
For his age to be as, honestly, and I don't mean to brag on him, but like well spoken as he was, and just like his attitude about everything, it was really refreshing because there's a lot of young kids who not just powerlift, bodybuild, just regular gym bro shit, who just have the worst fucking attitudes. Because he has such a good attitude at such a young age, that I think is going to push him to be really good in the future.
Sure. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And if he decides to hop on gear one day, like
who knows?
Who knows? He might
probably get to 181 real quick.
My transition from 220 to 242, and my 220 was like 212. Like that was my weigh in on my very first powerlifting meet. My 212 to 242 happened pretty damn quick.
It did. It went from 1185 to over 15.
1240 to 15 something, I think.
Pretty damn good 1 to 2 meet there. Like
gear.
What Nathan's not telling you is things you know already. He's really good about his food and his diet and sleep and stuff too. So,
bro, I took pictures of my fucking countertop with 17 meals on it. I was like, yeah, this is my meal prep. And it was fucking rice, beans, corn, chicken, steak, like just
over and over
mashed
again.
potatoes, all of it. And just sitting there, just like, yep, this is it. This is what I'm eating for the next week.
It's one of those details that makes good lifters great and great lifters better. Yep. So, I mean,
that's why I downloaded the RP Diet app.
Yep, gotta fucking do it.
Time to get those 555
need to tell that to myself.
Grams of carbs.
Need to tell that to myself. Another recap we'll do real quick is a listener, Skylar Mead.
Yeah,
he went
had a great meet.
600, 341, and 586. I think is where he landed.
9 for 9.
9 for 9 day, 1531 and a half on his second meet.
I think so.
We're pretty proud of that. I didn't get to stream it like I wanted to because I was obviously working yesterday. But I kept with him. I kept up with him all day. I was texting him back and forth all day. He did really fucking good. Way to hold it down for our listeners. That's a huge total for your second meet. Hell of a squatter, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like fucking good squatter. So
had a conversation with him after the meet. Very, very happy about it. Very cool guy. Glad we've followed each other for a little while after he started listening to it, but we never had a conversation. Yeah. He just messaged me one day about something I don't remember. Very glad he did because I'm not normally someone to reach out to new people. To be honest with you. So that goes to any listener. If you DM me, I will respond. But I'm probably not going to reach out to you specifically. That's just who I am as a person. It's not against you or anything. So, but feel free to reach out to me, and I will always respond. But I'm glad he did because we had a good conversation about it.
He's a hell of a squatter, and honestly, he's really not built for deadlifts, but really had a hell of a deadlift, considering, for sure. His bench press has definitely come up quite a bit too.
And it's only going to go up.
He's somebody I've talked to quite a bit about like how I handle accessory work and stuff like that on bench press, and probably will continue to in the future because he's become a friend of the show. So I know he's interested in coming on. He'd be a good perspective because he is a newer lifter. A newer lifter with a great total, which is rare-ish. But he had a really good day too. We're super proud of him. So that is a friend of Zach Rodriguez, who y'all got to listen to last week. He's the reason. Zach's the reason Skylar listens to us. So shout out to both of them.
Yeah,
I think Zach made his attempts. Zach decided his attempts. I think so.
Yeah, they discussed it, and they went with, or he ended up going with all of Zach's planned attempts. He did say he wished he had a little more on bench press, and then I kind of spoke to him on that, just kind of like, well, even though you didn't put everything in on your bench press, if you think you put 5 to 10 more kilos on your bench press, do you think you would have gotten that last deadlift? Because I don't know if you saw it, it was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a grinder.
There's you got to preserve the total first, and that's something I know as a coach, but at the same time, I'm still learning as a coach.
Yeah, it's hard when you have a plan in your head.
Yeah.
And the way everything looks on paper that makes
sense.
I mean,
you heard me and Nathan talk about, there's a 100-pound swing in him and Austin's day if I call things differently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's 100 pounds we could have used across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So, it isn't, and attempt selection is incredibly important. And talking about local coaches again, that's one reason why I respect Ron so much is his attempt selection is immaculate compared to everybody else's. I can't lie to you.
He can call
absolutely call a day. But it's just a super important part of powerlifting because at the end of the day, it doesn't make a fuck what you did in the gym.
Yep.
You've got to do it on the platform. I find bench press to be super unreliable still. Like I really feel as though bench press should be called conservatively down, especially if you're looking to preserve that deadlift. Because it does take something out of you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm ever at a point that I want to, unless you're just a pure bench presser and you need it for your total. I don't think I'm ever going to be at a point again where I'm like, I want an RPE 10 on the third attempt.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
Not on deadlift, not on bench press, but, where they say squats and deadlifts win championships. So you're either one or the other. Maybe. We don't know. Nathan's got a big bench press, so you can see him getting visibly uncomfortable in this conversation.
Well, my bench press makes up for my lack of a squat. So
and your deadlift wins you meets. That's what wins you meets. But I mean, it's all kind of funny, and there's a lot of nuance. But good days by Skylar and by Steve and by Zach Dion too. That's a big balls thing to go and compete with a bad back and still total pretty fucking respectfully for
your weight class.
Over 10 times nearly 11 times his body weight in a total. So pretty fucking cool. Right. Can't take anything away from the guy. So 11 times my body weight would be a fucking 2,400 pound total for me. Put that in perspective.
I don't think he had 11 times his body weight. 1240 by 165.
Oh shit! No, I'm not. Yeah. I am wrong about that.
Yeah.
I fucked that math all the way up.
Or something like that.
I fucked that math all the way up.
It's okay.
It's the alcohol.
Don't.
He'd have to go 1650 to have 10 times his body weight. So.
Yeah.
Which would be fucking ridiculous.
It'd be awesome.
There's a possibility that Zach does that eventually.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest with you, that's not out of the cards for him. But
I think he's doing the Ghost Clash, so watch out for him at the Ghost Clash. See what he does. Ghost Clash Amateur Day. Speaking of, if you guys want to sign up for that, sign up for it immediately because they sell out in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, that, even if you're just at the Amateur Day, that's a really cool event to be at.
Yeah. It's really in Florida. It's really at a bar.
It's really important meet to be at.
Plus, if you go there as a lifter on Amateur Day, you can get to be a spectator on the next day and see guys like John Hack and maybe Kyle Curvey.
The big dogs.
Like the guys in powerlifting. I know when Zach was on here, he was talking about it. He got to see John Hack and talk to him very briefly. Joe's probably always going to be at these big meets because he's always going to have a lifter there because his roster is
massive.
That dude don't stop working. He does not stop working.
If you're coaching strength sports right, you don't stop working.
Yeah. So he's always got something going on. But shout out to Joe because, man, despite the fact that he's always working, he will always take the time out to talk to you. Doesn't matter who you are.
He's a super nice guy.
Just the nicest dude in the world. I can't imagine why anyone would say something bad about him. Like, it always baffles me when I see people in comments or other high-level Instagram people.
It's the cannots that always have something to say.
It's true.
With the exception of maybe Thistlewaite, but...
Yeah. He was just shit-talking to shit-talk. That's just who he is. But, like, I don't know. Definitely rubbed me the wrong way. 'Cause it's like, of all the people in the world, like, why would you go after Joe? Like,
you have a handful of people that are very, very serious about advancing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a handful of people that are very, very serious about advancing powerlifting. And then you have a very, very even smaller handful of people that are concerned about advancing themselves and about advancing powerlifting. And those two things can be at odds with one another at sometimes, and you have to balance that. And Joe is one of those people that has powerlifting as a whole and the future of powerlifting in mind, and himself in mind in a very, very responsible way, and has struck a really good balance between the two. And I honestly, that's the one thing about Joe, of all the things you can say about him, I don't know how he does that, because I definitely, and I pride myself on this to some extent, I definitely put y'all above me. Joe's done a very good job of balancing
his training, his
y'all
priorities,
and himself, and because he's still a fucking legend on his own without ever coaching somebody. That guy's a fucking powerlifting legend. So that's a different type of difficult to prioritize powerlifting as a whole in the advancement of the sport and still prioritize yourself. That's a balance that's incredibly fucking difficult.
Yeah.
So shout out to him. There's definitely a few other coaches that do that too,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Fucking,
Hate to say it, but not Brandon Lilly anymore. He just shits on powerlifting in the modern day. He's like, hey, if you want strength training, DM me, but also fuck powerlifting in the modern like.
There's definitely there's definitely quite a bit of people in his generation of powerlifters that are pretty fucking bitter about how things shook out. I'm not 100% sure. He had a lot of health issues, including injuries and stuff. That would make you bitter about it, and I understand that on a profound level, because I seem to stay hurt, and I'm nowhere near the level of what Brandon Lilly was, but like that first generation of like big time raw lifters have gotten dusted.
Yeah,
he was a great power lifter.
Oh yeah,
better than we probably ever going to see locally outside of Jawan. But like him, Dan Green,
Yuri Belkin,
dude out of Chris Duffin, people like that, unbelievably strong people, unbelievably strong lifters, but like they're not top 10 anymore.
Yeah.
The Eric Lillibridge is still somebody that's absolute fucking god, but all their totals have gotten fucking dusted.
Yeah.
They laid the framework for everything that we do. Mechanically, I still think they're some of the best lifters on the planet in terms of technique and everything like that. Lots to be learned from those guys, but I do think that there's a bitterness from that generation of powerlifters that has not died yet.
Well, I guess
you don't see Brandon's not bitter about anything, but Brandon was an in-betweener. He was part of that generation of powerlifters that were breaking those guys' records, and now has been surpassed by
some of the
newer lifters and stuff like that.
That should be the expectation, though.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, if nothing else breaks your record, Tom will break your record. Yeah. There's always somebody bigger, faster, stronger than you. Yeah. Always going to be. If there's not, they're coming. They will be one day. You think about
you know what I mean? Pharmaceuticals, like the way drugs are developing.
The way we treat drugs now. Like, there was a time not too long ago where everybody just blasted 2 Gs a week, and we thought that's the way that we did it. And now we have so many options outside of anabolics that make it fair, which maybe we should get into a little bit more in depth before we wrap this up. Have so many other options other than anabolics that are performance enhancing, but are a little bit safer, and also allows you to use less anabolics so that your blood works a little bit better. You're a healthier person. If you're a healthier person, you perform better. There's a whole hell of a lot.
Your longevity is better.
Your longevity is better.
I was listening to Dr. Mike Israetel on Modern Wisdom. I can't remember what the name of the guy is. That's a podcast I just started picking up. But he was talking about longevity and steroids and the difference between blasting a ton of gear, how much life it takes off of your total lifespan compared to just using it moderately, responsibly, just TRT. Like, he was like, you can rough estimate 5 years if you're responsible, cut off your life. If you're irresponsible, could be 10, 15, 20, could be tomorrow. Yeah. Like, you just don't know when you're responsible.
Slope. I would say that there's a point in TRT where it extends your life.
Yeah.
100%.
Here's my thing. Even if it doesn't, like,
if it doesn't extend it, if your quality of life is better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could look at the potential of TRT causing you to be a stronger individual going into older age, which will keep you safer. So you're, if you fall, you're less likely to break your hip. you stay active, keep moving. These things are less likely to kill you. Like, because all the time, Desi tells me, old person fell, broke their hip, went to surgery, died. Like, it's just so
It's like
common.
over like 70 years old. That's like 50, like half the population over 70 dies because of a slip and fall.
Yeah.
So like it's the number one killer of senior citizens.
Yeah.
So like,
so if you're stronger and more stable, have more muscle mass, bone density is better. Powerlifting helps your bone density.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's less reason to use that much and be irresponsible about it because we have all these other things from the iridescence of the nectar. Really has replaced, in my mind, maybe not completely replaced, but is beginning to replace the necessity for an oral.
Yeah.
Most of the time with an oral, we only run them, 4 to 8 weeks out, depending on the person. And the things that an oral is going to do for you that really don't do it any better than iridescence or nectar does. And it's a vitamin.
Right.
We're talking about injectable vitamins.
Yeah.
Peptides, when it comes to longevity and being able to heal up, or even growth hormone itself, because it's not, while it is performance enhancing, it is not an anabolic.
Yeah.
And under 5 IUs is almost side effect free.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's always exceptions to that rule, but for the vast majority of people, if it's under 5 IUs, there's no side effects other than maybe making it harder to physically lose total weight, not fat mass, but like it does make you a bigger person.
Yeah.
Like you have all these drugs that aren't anabolic that do the same things that we used to take anabolics for. Like the whole point of, well, a lot of times, at least in strength sports, the point behind DECA over something like Tren was that it's better for your joints.
Yeah.
Tren will make you fucking strong.
Right.
100%. But like DECA has like curative properties for your joints and stuff. So does growth hormone, so does TB500, so does BPC 157. You use GHRP 6.
2.
Is there 6 and 12? 6 and 2 and 12?
I think it's 2, 4, and 6.
2, 4, and 6.
I think. I know 2 and 6 for sure. 2 is more of the actual like growing side of the hormones. 6 is more of an appetite stimulant.
Okay.
It does still have some of the effects like of
then you have like fractals of insulin like IGF-1 and stuff like that you can take. Insulin itself can be safe in certain applications.
As long as you're not being a dumbass, because I've taken insulin. I don't take it regularly.
Still less dangerous than anabolic.
Just don't take a shit ton. You're probably going to freak out. You might die. If you just are responsible.
Again, though, probably still safer than anabolic in large doses.
Right.
Like, so you have all these other options because science is better. And I myself has admitted on this podcast several times that I am stronger in total on a TRT dose than I was when I was blasting and coming off and blasting and coming off and blasting and coming off, largely because I'm balanced year round.
Yep.
And if I choose to blast, I don't really have to do it more than 400 milligrams a week. Like a blast for me now is like half of what it used to
be.
And I get stronger than I did on 800 because there is no end.
Yeah.
Like if I was taking a G a week for 10 weeks, I was going to have to be off for 10 to 12 weeks. Like now I just go back down to my TRT dose. My blood works better. My liver enzymes, all the liver functions better. Kidney functions better. All this stuff is better. It costs me less money because I'm not using near as much fucking gear.
Yep.
like,
and you get
I feel better.
grade gear.
My insurance fucking pays for it. I get a better quality gear. I'm healthier. I'm stronger. I'm not fucking killing myself.
Yep.
Like, those things, like, that's what, to tie it back to the original conversation, like, that is, like, so dramatically different than Brandon Lilly's generation of powerlifting. Or even, like, the generation of powerlifting that started coaching me when I started.
Yeah.
Brandon and Izzy and people like that I got coached by. It was just like, yeah, fucking take some gear and eat this and lift that and take this. But even Brandon's approach was really, really practical.
Right.
It's like, hey, man, I don't want you on a 19 Nors. I want you on test up to 750 milligrams if you feel like you need it. We'll talk about an oral 8 weeks out if you feel like you need it.
Yeah.
Like, he was always less is more, less is more, less is more. I'm on much less than that now.
Yeah.
I do have some Dianabol now that I bought by mistake in a weird way. And legitimately, I bought it by mistake. placed an order with somebody, and I was like, I always keep a backup bottle of UGL test just in case my prescription runs out or something. I'm in between. But like, I need a bottle of UGL test, and I'm thinking. I told the person, I was like, I'm thinking about some Dianabol.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't give any confirmation on it, and then when it was delivered to me, they're like, "Here's your test and 2 bottles of Dianabol. Have fun." I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that now. I didn't want to start this. Like, I don't know how serious I was about this, but I got it. But like, less is more, man, and it proves that being balanced, being healthy, means more to your athleticism than just fucking being a pincushion.
Right.
There's more to it than just that.
Yeah.
And like, I can't tell you how bad my sleep was when I was on. It depends on the drug too, right? So like, the worst stack I've ever been on health wise and sleep wise, I was taking 1.5 milliliters of each compound a week. I was taking 1.5 Tren E, 1.5 Masteron E, 1.5 Test E, and I didn't fucking 3 times a week. Well, it was a half 3 times a week with all 3 compounds. So I was basically taking a mixed 1.5 3 times a week. So 4.5 milliliters a week. That would have been what, 100, 300, and then another 100. So it's only 500 milligrams a week. The test E, Masteron E was 100 apiece, and the test at 200 with 3 shots was 300. Didn't fucking sleep. Had night sweats. Like, anxiety was bad. Did get stronger, but it was marginal.
Right.
Changed my mental health for the worse.
I remember. I remember having a conversation about that.
And it made me go back. Masteron specifically is really, really fucking hard on your mental health. People will tell you Tren is, but anything DHT derived is fucking horrendous on your mental health, especially if you have pre-existing mental health issues. If you're somebody that's just fucking angry, like no real mental health issues, and you just like kind of short-tempered, but maybe Tren's works for you. But Tren's always been kind to me. Fucking anything DHT derived, fucking horrendous for me. So Winstrol, Masteron, Anavar, shit like that. Fucking terrible for my mental health. But like, I didn't fucking get better on that. I probably did shave years off my life doing that shit. Like, at just 500 milligrams a week. Like, the most I've probably ever done was like 750, all tests and the oral, like Brandon had said. And that's less bad, but like, you can fuck yourself up so bad. If you're taking anabolics to the point that you're not sleeping right and you're not eating right, you're pissing in the wind, bud. Like, you're just not getting the benefit that it's supposed to be making. Like, it's not worth your time anymore. Like, it's not worth the health risk. I have no doubt that I was on my way to a heart attack doing that.
Yeah.
100%.
I can believe that.
Tren's something I still mess around with occasionally. But it's like, reading too, we talked about this recently on the podcast. It's not really that effective over 70 or 80 milligrams. Just, at that point,
blast it.
Above that, it starts to speed up aromatization of your testosterone. Side effects become worse than it can benefit. And it also becomes harder than you can manage with an anastrozole, aromasin, estrogen blockers and stuff like that. So like, what the fuck? Like, it's all the shit's left over from bro science and bodybuilding. Yeah. That just spilled over onto our sport. But like, the best stack on the planet, honest to God, is TRT and a low dose of HGH.
Yeah, 100%.
The most benefit, least amount of risk, like, make you feel better, make you perform better, make you physically healthier for the most part, as long as you're probably not eating like an asshole.
Yeah.
The blood count thing becomes a problem if you're eating like fuck.
Yeah.
But like, as long as you're doing everything you're supposed to, it's fucking not just performance enhancing, but life enhancing. Yeah. So like, where we got this information that more is more is.
It really probably is just bodybuilding, right? Because in bodybuilding,
well, that's the root of everything whether you like it or not, that's the root of everything we do in strength sports. Even though we're not on stage and that's not politically correct.
Not politically.
My bad. Even though we're not on stage doing that, like, the root of everything we do is still largely rooted in that, because a bigger mass moves mass, a bigger muscle has a higher strength potential. Like, and also, like, that's what the big guy at the gym does. Big guy at the gym got big some fucking how, right? So like, what does he do? Like, I eat a lot of red meat and pen, a gram a week. It's like, well, as it turns out, eating a bunch of red meat when you're penning a gram a week is actually fucking awful for you. But
you can still get big off it.
But that's the dangerous thing about steroids too, is how poor information is to gather about it, right?
Yeah.
Like you have bad information everywhere and very little good information because it's illegal.
Yep.
So you just have to take somebody's fucking word for it, unless it's a podcast like this where people fucking know better.
Well, it's also only illegal in the U.S. and a few other countries, right?
Yeah.
Like you can go to Mexico and buy it at a pharmacy.
There's some states because there's some know a guy that slings a little bit, and his all comes out of New Mexico or Nevada because it's completely legal there.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was legal in Nevada.
But I want to say it's New Mexico on that specifically. But it can be this great and wonderful thing, and it's when it's abused even in the slightest, it becomes incredibly fucking dangerous.
And that's that's why it's regulated. But it's really interesting, right? Because we could talk about this forever, but like it's really interesting that you can regulate these steroids that could be life enhancing, but you're not going to regulate alcohol, which could be it could be life enhancing, but also can be life destroying, health destroying,
much quicker.
Yeah,
much quicker than anabolics can be. So and the problem with the stigma around anabolics is that we don't hear enough from reasonable scientific data about it.
Yeah,
it's just blanket. It's all bad.
Yeah.
Well, if it's all bad, then what's the difference between 100 mgs and 1,000 and 1 gram? At that point,
if it's all bad, why can my doctor prescribe me a testosterone dose?
Yeah, people forget that this stuff existed in a medical context before.
Every single PED existed in a medical setting before it ever became a PED.
Some of them veterinarian, to be fair.
But even so, they existed in some form of medicine before.
Wasting syndrome is the biggest reason for them. AIDS patients, cancer patients need to pick up weight. Anabolics exist. DECA specifically existed. AIDS patients and cancer patients to help get there. There are veterinarian uses. Equipoise has horse in the name. That's why it's Equipoise. Tren, that's a cattle drug.
Yeah.
It's also the reason why that shit's more dangerous for you is because it wasn't meant for you to fucking take it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think oversight from a doctor can help a whole lot. And that kind of brings us to our next topic, which is a little bit uncomfortable for me because of who, and we need to be quick about this because we've had a whole episode.
Yeah.
But peptides and tested powerlifting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I find very interesting, right? Because there are certain aspects where I can see. So obviously, it's WADA, right, that regulates everything, and they determine what is legal and what is not. So if you are a WADA associated,
there's proteins and pre-workouts you can't take.
Right.
WADA protocol.
So there are some very specific things. On a personal level, I don't believe that some of these should be banned. GHRP2, GHRP6, you could probably ban those. There is no reason to take those other than performance enhancement. Maybe you get a little better sleep, but you eat a little more but you can take appetite stimulants. There's other things you can do. When it comes to BPC and TB500, are they performance enhancing? Maybe to a degree because they help you heal better. Like that's one of the biggest things about steroids is that they help you heal quicker, you recover faster, you're able to push more. Yes, these do those things, but not to the same level, not to the same degree. I don't think that you should.
And they're not anabolic.
Yeah, exactly. They're not anabolic. They are simply recovery tools that can be used. So why are they banned in the first place? Like, could you...
This is why it has nothing to do with being natty or not. It has nothing to do with the individual lifter. It has nothing to do with choices. But this is the reason why I kind of dump on tested powerlifting a little bit. Is like TB500 and TB500 BPC 157 still being researched as to its efficacy of actually being able to heal you up. That being said, we have a lot of practical information that says it absolutely fucking does work.
And regret tendon and mice.
I can fucking send you to 20 people that have used it personally, including you, on a pec tear. They have used it, and we know that it works.
Yep.
The only reason why that shit's banned in the first place is because modern medicine can't do it better than those drugs can, and somebody's pissed off about it.
Right.
They want to sell surgeries. They want to sell painkillers. They want to sell muscle relaxers. They want to sell rehab. They want to do all this other stuff, and it's a fucking, just like marijuana is to some extent, it is a hindrance to the modern medical system.
Yep.
Those things can actually make you better. It's performance enhancing in the sense of it can heal you faster and you're back to the platform first. But it's not performance enhancing in the sense that Tren is, where it can actually physically has the ability to change your genetic compound to make you predisposed to build muscle better than anybody else after taking it for one cycle.
Right.
Without continuing to take Tren. Tren fundamentally changes your ability to gain muscle for the rest of your life.
Yep.
That is not what these drugs do.
Right.
Absolutely not. Lane Norton made reference to an article of like any steroid anabolic use at all, including testosterone, can fundamentally change your ability to gain muscle for the rest of your life. Put it back on after a long layover, add more to it if you've already got it. Build it in the first place if you took those drugs prior to working out for some type of medical reason. Maybe it has the ability to physically change you forever.
Right.
None of these peptides do that. None of them.
Yeah.
Like none of them provide you the advantage that an anabolic or HGH provides you. None of them do. So the only thing that they're doing is reducing turnaround from injury.
Yep. Exactly.
This is something that if you don't believe this is our medical system that has a problem with it and prevents these things, look at what Peyton Manning had to do to return to the NFL after his neck injury. He had to go overseas to get his neck worked on with stem cell therapy and stuff like that, to be able to be healthy enough to return to the NFL and have a productive career at the Broncos after the Colts cut him, frankly, way too fucking early. He ended up having the best year of his career in Denver, not in Indianapolis. Like, you have examples of some pro athletes having to go elsewhere to seek treatment just because it's illegal here, and it literally disrupts the medical system.
Yep.
WADA is an extension of that system.
Right.
They view it as a performance enhancing because they healed faster. You mean every athlete in the world has to do a mandatory fucking 6 months of rehab before they can return to the platform or return to the football field or return to the baseball field or whatever the fuck it is? That's fucking horse shit.
Yeah.
You just don't like it because that person's back to it faster.
And that's really interesting.
And that's like why? Let's call it like it is. Every drug you take, rehab has consequences. Physical rehab, physical therapy could have potential have physical negative consequences. Every part of the hospital, surgery could have negative consequences. People react differently to anesthesia. Things go wrong in surgery. There's a lot of things. You have like all these. So it's not even we know for a fact it's not even a negative consequence thing, because negative consequences happen in every medical procedure on the planet, whether it stems from going and getting a steroid shot because you're sick or having a major surgery. There are medical consequences across the board on every level of medicine. So like, if the only consequence of a peptide, and we don't know like long-term consequences, but you also don't use peptides. You're not part of your weekly stack.
Right.
It's not a long-term thing like anabolic use or something like that would be. It's as needed basis for the most part. The only medical consequences you got better, faster, and like maybe some unknown things like further in the future that are probably minimal because you can't take it year round anyway. Couldn't afford to.
Right.
Like, why is it banned? That's my frustration with this local lifter that's having a problem with that. If that's the only thing he did,
right.
My frustration is it shouldn't be banned in the first fucking place.
Right.
You're just protecting this fucking natty status.
Yeah. At a minimum, like, could you not have a doctor's? I mean, I don't know if you could get a doctor's prescription or excuse or whatever. You could at least like have some sort of appeal that's like, hey, I actually have an injury. Like, you could like have an X-ray, an MRI, whatever it is. Show that you have the injury and be like, I'm going to take this from this period to this period. Yeah. And you can test me after this period.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, they have to do that with. I mean, there has to be waivers for like amphetamines. There's people that have to have Adderall.
Right.
Adderall is 100% performance enhancing. 100%.
You can't take it.
People have to have it for ADHD and stuff like that. There has to be a medical waiver for it, right?
What I was told, at least on the PLU level, what I was told, because Desi takes Adderall, she would have to stop taking it to compete. Test it.
That's ridiculous.
How
many professional athletes do we have that have to have Adderall to function normal?
Right.
Like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, what it is like, this is people taking the wrong things entirely too goddamn seriously.
Yep.
Entirely too goddamn seriously. Like, yeah, I understand that, like, a baseball player that has a doubleheader that day popping an Adderall, that's fucking performance enhancing to an extent. Like, you probably don't want that, but if that guy's prescribed to it and he needs it, like, there should be some type of medical waiver in place for that guy.
Right.
But the things that we're talking about aren't even fucking as bad as Adderall.
Right.
They're not even talking about something that's like a medical need. There's other mental health drugs outside of amphetamines that are required for people to function that could or that may or may not lend itself to performance enhancing to some extent. Like, at what point do you fucking draw the line?
Right.
Like, there's entirely too much in this shit that's taken way too goddamn seriously. It should be blanket anabolics and HGH. If you don't test positive for one of those, fucking send it, dude.
Right.
Like, that being said, the protocol for testing, if something like this opens you up to being tested for other things, which I'm sure one test covers a lot of things, and you fell for something else, then you cheated.
Right. 100%.
If you fell for an anabolic, there's not a fucking gray area on anabolics.
Yeah.
There's not. Obviously there's not a fucking gray area on peptides, but that's definitely an ethical gray area at the very least. Like, why are we fucking worried about this? I mean, like, NSAIDs, every powerlifter on the planet takes ibuprofen. Tell me that feeling better the morning of a powerlifter meet isn't performance enhancing.
Right.
Like, it may be fucking minimal, but like, my joints feel good and I'm moving well. That's fucking pretty goddamn performance enhancing.
Yeah.
How you view yourself and how you feel that morning is pretty fucking performance enhancing. The mental aspect has untold dividends or untold consequences depending on how you view yourself in every sport on every fucking level. Anything your mental attitude does. So if ibuprofen, taking 400 milligrams of ibuprofen before your meet day because it makes you feel better and your joints feel good and you're not as inflamed, that honestly may be more extreme than these peptides we're talking about.
Right.
Like, it's like, honestly, it's splitting hairs. That's my problem. My problem is not with the person that chooses to compete, drug tested or non-tested. It's not with the actual natty lifting. My problem is with it. It's tested to the point that it's goddamn impractical. Like, that's a standard that no normal person lives to. Whether it's painkillers, amphetamines, because they have to have them, antidepressants, a TRT protocol. Honestly, I don't think a TRT protocol should be considered performance enhancing if it's what's required for you to be normal.
Right.
If you test, below 1,000 on a TRT protocol, then you're not on gear, bud.
Right.
Your blood work reflects it. Mine, I know what mine just tested. Mine tested unreadable because mine was so goddamn high. That's performance enhancing. If it's a normal fucking range, your TRT dose isn't performance enhancing. Right. There needs to be waivers for that. You see it in the Olympics every fucking 4 years. Some poor girl with some type of androgen disorder pop. It just happened with a boxer that people were miserably uninformed by. Fucking everybody accusing her to be a man of being a man, but she was very much born a woman.
Right.
Stuff like that. Like, if there's things for that, like, if you need a TRT protocol to be normal, then normal is normal is normal. It's not performance enhancing if you have to have it to be normal. Right. Like, there's so many fucking splitting hairs over this just because you don't want to have an athlete that put a needle in their ass. Yep. That's so goddamn silly. If you're that concerned about it, don't go get that fucking shot of fucking local steroid the next time you're fucking sick. Yep. Like, because like, that's what you're splitting. When you're talking about peptides, when you're talking about painkillers, when you're talking about amphetamines that people actually need to be normal, that's what we're splitting hairs over now. Yeah. Like,
it's kind of
insane. And I think it should extend to TRT.
Right.
If TRT is required, before I ever started using drugs, my TRT, my testosterone levels was 140. On a normal TRT dose, I have to tell you 100% true, that is not enough for it to be performance enhancing. Right. Do I build muscle a little bit better? Yeah, compared to fucking 140. Right. But I'm not doing it compared to Dr. Mike who's on 2 fucking grams a week.
Right.
It's not the fucking same. Like, if it's what's required for you to be a normal functioning person, there should be no fucking penalty. If it's what's required for you to get better and get healthy, there should be no fucking penalty. I don't care. That's the idea of this natty status is more important to WADA and USADA than it is to the actual lifters themselves. The actual lifters themselves don't want to fucking use steroids. Great. Don't use steroids. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with the fucking peptide? Explain that to me. Somebody explain to me what's wrong with the fucking peptide.
Well, you see, if you can get healed from an injury faster, then you can get back to training faster. So you didn't get a penalty for getting hurt.
That's goddamn ridiculous.
I'm telling you what people are saying.
I mean, that's like saying that you're going to be banned for drag racing because you were able to put your motor together faster than somebody that you blew up last weekend faster than the next guy. Fuck, if there was fucking rules against that, there would be no fucking racing. I've watched guys in the fucking pits fucking literally rebuild an engine from the fucking ground up between events in hours time. Like, there is no other fucking sport that cares that goddamn much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a penalty on how fast you can return to your sport.
Yep.
That's what you're talking about. You're not really talking about drug use.
Yeah. And I think that's insane because you would think people would want these high-level athletes to come back to the sport faster so that people could continue watching them and you could, like, enhance the sport as a whole.
Have you ever paid attention to how guarded, even though it's not completely non-tested, have you ever realized how, paid attention to how guarded steroid use is in strongman?
Mm-mm.
Like, none of them will openly say.
I've never noticed that.
Like, bud, you just podiumed at World Strong. Everybody fucking knows you.
Right.
Like, everybody fucking knows it, dude. You just press 450 pounds over your head. Like,
right.
It's not a big goddamn secret. But, like, this, for whatever reason, that fucking natty status isn't even as important to the athletes as it is to the organizations.
Right.
Like, it's fucking hubris. Is what, I mean, it really is. Like, So are we just not going to do anything? Then if return to sport, how quick you return to sport matters, are we going to put a cap on how many rehab sessions somebody can go to post-injury? Should we? It's performance enhancing.
It is performance enhancing. It gets you back to your sport
It's performance
faster.
enhancing in the exact same way a peptide's performance enhancing. If you use anabolics in a sport that you knowingly can't use anabolics, that is 100% cheating, and I ain't with it.
Right.
I'm not. There's too many opportunities in powerlifting to go and be non-tested.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem with tested is maybe we should have a more practical approach to what tested fucking means.
Right. I agree with that.
If it's something you have to take to return to sport, or if it's something you have to take to be normal, there is no reason to have a protocol for it.
I guess the only argument on that side is that, well, if you can do it to be normal, then you have to be fair to everyone else and let them use it. Right? That's the only thing
Not if they're already normal.
Right.
That's the point, is return your base to normal.
Right.
At least blood work. Make them submit blood work if they're on a TRT protocol. Make sure that they're below, 1,000. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Make sure that 300 to 900, like all of our doctors want to be, fucking, they're not fucking, 901, they're cool to fucking compete. Like,
right.
Because, it takes that for it to be performance enhancing. Mm-hmm. That's what it takes. So, like, you're already fucking giving them drug tests. Make them submit their blood work. God damn. Like, every fucking athlete has it. Like, everybody that goes to the doctor regularly has it. Like, if you're a 6-month person, you're probably got fucking blood work you can submit to these people.
Yeah.
If they don't want to do that, give them blood. They can fucking take blood.
Right.
If it's so fucking important to protect this fucking natty status. And it is for a lot of people, and I get it. But, like I said, the organization seems to care more about natty status than the athletes themselves do, to the point that some of the top-level guys we know for a fact beat test.
Right.
There's a whole fucking... Watch Icarus. A whole fucking, there's a whole fucking documentary about it. There's a whole fucking culture of beating tests. That's the reason why Middle Eastern countries, Far East countries, and Russia are so much goddamn better at Olympic lifting than Americans are. Because they know how to fucking beat tests. Mm-hmm. It happens at every level of sport and every strength sport and everything like that. So there needs to be some degree of practicality to how we approach things. There's none. It's just blanket. Like, you ever seen the banned substances list?
It's insane.
You can't take half the shit that's in GNC, dude.
Yeah.
There's no way we're going to tell a fucking 19-year-old that just started lifting that they're not natty because they took a pre-workout that's on the banned substance list. Don't fucking bullshit me. Fucking pissed down my back, tell me it's raining. Shit. Like, that's what that is. It's like fucking, it's not the lifters, it's not the participants, it's the organizations that are fucking smug. That is fucking smug. If you tested positive, again, don't know this person's situation. If you tested positive for something else, then you fucking cheated.
Right.
But a peptide wasn't fucking it.
Yeah. But it was on the bad substance list, so that I think that's what a lot of people bring it back to, and I think a lot of people would agree that peptides shouldn't be banned in tested
therapy,
powerlifting,
man.
But like, the problem is, at least in this situation, the problem was knowingly taking a banned substance, right?
I mean, by what I was told, that he asked about it retroactively.
Okay.
Right? Is that what you were told?
No.
Okay, so what were you told exactly? Because that's the way I interpreted what you told me about this.
What I was told was, okay, there was a picture taken of a needle. Somebody started...
Posted to social media?
Yes. Somebody took it off of social media, took it to Reddit, and said, why does this person have a needle? At that point, people started commenting, and then the person who took it said, I know that everybody wants me to be on steroids because I'm better than everybody else. Didn't say that, but essentially that was the vibe. But this is, I think it was BPC 157 or TB 500 or both. I can't remember.
Some combination.
It was a recovery peptide. It's like, I'm taking this for an injury. I know it's on the banned substance list, but I'm not competing in USAPL anymore. I'm switching to PA. So he knew that it was banned USAPL. Maybe he didn't know it was banned PA, but he knew it was banned USAPL when he took it, and that's why he was kind of like, I don't care. I'm not competing there. I'm swapping to PA. When USAPL banned him, it was, they still follow WADA IPF stuff, and PA honors that ban, which he didn't know, I guess.
I'm not walking back my opinion about this because I don't think peptides should be on any substance list. It's just not fucking that. That being said, if you were fucking given the list and it's on the fucking list, then it is your fucking fault.
Right.
But whether or not it should be on there, I can debate with you all day. It shouldn't fucking be on there.
Right.
If it's on there, aspirin, ibuprofen should fucking be on there.
Right.
100%. Don't believe it should be on there. But if you have the fucking list, took it knowing that it's on the list, then it's your own goddamn fault. So
that's what it boils down to.
It.
Like,
is it really going to make you that much better than the next lifter? No. But if you have a list of rules that you're supposed to abide by, you broke the rule.
Right.
So,
and that's what everyone...
I don't like the rule.
Right.
Nathan doesn't like the rule. Anybody with half a fucking brain probably doesn't like the rule. But the rule's the rule's the rule.
Yeah.
Do I think the rule's ridiculous? It's really goddamn stupid. Really fucking stupid.
Yeah. Because
you knew at that point, like, plausible deniability, right? Like, I didn't know that shit was on the banned substance list.
Right.
Like, fucking... But just outwardly fucking saying, yeah, I know it was on the banned substance list. I took it anyway because I'm trying to heal up from this injury. That's kind of your own goddamn fault.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, now I'm not walking back my opinion about this. Everything up to TRT protocol, including peptides, pain relievers, amphetamines if you have a mental health disorder that requires them, not if you just want to fucking take them. If there is a medical need for anything, you take them, including recovery, it shouldn't fucking be on the banned substance list. Should not.
And like, the only thing I've heard, and I was listening to briefly about this on, I think it was 3 White Lights podcast, which, by the way, not to say anything negative, but their sound quality is really, really bad.
It kind of happens.
But I slogged through it anyway. They mostly spoke on the recovery aspects being performance enhancing, and that was the argument for it being on the banned substance, because you could recover faster. I've talked to people before who say they take BPC 157 for recovery purposes, and that's why they don't compete tested. I don't know.
So
Like,
my question is too though, where does it stop?
right.
Okay, there is an aspect of anabolics. Part of the reason why you take them is the main function of them is because you do recover faster and they decrease recovery time, and you can basically go harder in the gym
Longer.
Yeah, and that's part of the benefit. They do have things that happen on the cellular level that make you predisposed to build muscle better, including protein synthesis, which we talked about before. And those things are all well and good. How they deliver oxygen to your blood, because your red blood cell count goes up. So theoretically, you can deliver more. That's also part of the recovery aspect. If you can deliver more oxygen to the muscle, it heals faster, yada, yada, yada. So there is a recovery aspect to that. Again, though, peptides do not fundamentally change your fucking DNA. And it's also not something you're going to take more than, what's the prescription, like 14 to 21 days? You know this better than I do. On these two.
I don't know specifically.
Typically, it's like 14 days long.
I think it's just until it's healed, which the heal time varies between injuries.
For sure.
And then your dosage is typically, I think,
so
like a
at worst, if
microgram
it didn't require surgery, at worst you're talking about 8 to 10 weeks.
Right.
And they don't have anabolic effects.
Right.
They don't physically build muscle. They can help repair it, but they're not going to be predisposed to building more muscle after the use of them. Man, we're splitting hairs. I mean, really, like that being said, if you were given the list and they were on the list and you fucking took it, that was your own goddamn fault.
Yeah.
But I guess my problem is, like I said, organizationally, like that's just a fucking impossible thing to aspire to, especially knowing that mental health drugs like Adderall are on the fucking list too.
Yeah.
That's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It is like, oh my God.
How many people do you think who take Adderall, who lift, are faced with this not necessarily impossible, but this difficult situation of, okay, so I can either stop taking Adderall for the next 2 weeks, be fucking miserable, probably not be able to perform as well to be
you can't focus
because I want to be a tested athlete, or I'm going to have to go untested and either still stay natty in an untested league, be accused if I'm good of being on a bunch of gear because I am competing untested, or just have to take gear to compete.
It discourages participation because, like, you're telling me somebody that requires one of these things can't participate tested despite being required for it. And at that point, it brings up a new thing. At what point are the local injectable vitamins going to be banned, like carnitine and choline and stuff like that? Like, okay, they are. Let me tell you something. Iridescence and nectar are far more fucking performance enhancing than a peptide is.
Oh yeah,
100%. Far more. And they're all things. Now you can't buy them injectable, but every one of the ingredients in both of those two vitamins are things you can buy over the counter at GNC right fucking now.
Yep.
It might be an oral and not an injectable, but you can buy every one of those things right fucking now. They're going to start testing you for your fucking multivitamin soon. Fucking bullshit, dude. Like, honestly, there is like a degree of practicality that has to be in place here. And the list is the list is the list. If it's on the list and you took it, it's your fucking fault. But the list shouldn't be the list.
Right.
Not as we see it. If there's a fucking medical need for something, including up to recovery, and like I said, up to even TRT, if TRT is required for you to be a normal functioning man, there is no reason you should be penalized for fucking using gear. If that's what's required for you to be normal. Again, the key word is normal.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a performance enhancing dose. This is what's required for my body to function on the same level as my counterparts do. If that is what we're talking about, then the whole goddamn list is stupid.
But then think about this. What about the people, like this is kind of where I will say something on the natty side of the testing. What about the people who are just genetic freaks who have a ton of testosterone just because their body creates a ton of testosterone? I have a friend of mine that's
incredibly, he did use gear, but when he was off, tested as high testosterone as anybody I've ever seen off gear.
Right.
Consistently tested 11 or 1200.
Right.
Every time he did blood work.
And then if he competed tested in this instance, and it's like, well, you got a lot of testosterone, so we can't
test it for the chemical itself. If the chemical itself is present, then That's what they're doing, because on a piss test, they're not able to give you blood counts or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like...
So, you're saying both have to be in place?
Absolutely.
Blood work in...
There has to be like, okay, you're on this. Does your blood work reflect it not being performance enhancing?
Yeah.
1. 2, you're off of this and you pissed hotter than outside of normal range. Can you prove, through blood work or whatever you need, that you have not taken this fucking drug? That both are extremely doable. They do it all the fucking time. To the point, in the Olympics, the IOC takes medals away retroactively because of new testing protocols.
Right.
So we know it can be done. WADA is the institution that does that, and then USADA does it for the United States. They're already doing it for fucking every athlete they fucking test.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. This is so goddamn dumb. Like, I mean, if somebody knowingly cheats, knowing something's on the banned substance list, that is a different ethical. That's a different ethical issue, because at that point, that person's just a fucking liar.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
But there is a problem with the list at large.
Right.
Is my take on it.
Yep. I can agree with that. Now that
there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me. I'm not mad at you for feeling the same way I do, for feeling oppositely the way I do. There's a lot of fucking discourse that could happen over this subject. I think by and large, the biggest takeaway is if you were given a substance list and you took something knowing it was on the banned substance list, then you are a cheater.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the fact that I have a profound and very, very negative view of what should be
on the list.
But if it was on the list and you knowingly took it, you cheated.
Yeah.
That's the rules. The rules are in place for a reason. It doesn't have to be a reason I agree with. It doesn't even have to be a rational reason, which apparently nothing fucking is on that list. But like, blanket statement, I'm not walking back what I said about the list itself. But if you took it knowing it was on the banned list, that's your own damn fault. I mean, that's pretty simple. That's ethics, right?
Yeah.
Like, you took it knowing it was on the list, you cheated.
Yeah.
The political discussion around whether or not it should be on the list in the first place, at that point, doesn't matter if you took it knowing that it was on the list.
Right.
The list needs to be fucking overhauled. Standards need to change. The way we look at this stuff needs to change. But as it sits right now, if you knew about it, you took it, you failed, you got banned, and it was a decision you knowingly made, it's still your fault.
Yeah.
We could have several more episodes about the existence of this list and its actual efficacy and how ridiculous it may or may not be. But blanket statement, cheating is cheating is cheating. If it was on the list, there is a reasonable doubt to be able to point to you and say, one, that you could have done other things because you were ethically liable for what's on that list to begin with. It opens up the door to question whether or not you took other things. Don't have to agree with the list, but for right now, the list is the list that we have. And if it's on the list and you knowingly took it, you cheated.
Yep.
Period. I would say that about any level of sport. Right now, the rules are the rules are the rules. You know the rules when you sign up. You don't have to agree with the rules, but you do have to operate inside of those. And what's particularly unfair about this is it opens up the conversation about, well, he's done this. Has he done other things? And then you have broken other people's records along the way. In multiple federations, if you're this person, you have robbed somebody else of it if you have knowingly taken things on the banned substance list.
Right. And
more than anything is it raises questions about your character, about whether or not you did take things that even I would have a problem with on this banned substance. Like I said, the list is something we can talk about whether or not it needs to change, and I think it does. But like, if you knew it and you took it, you cheated. So, sorry.
I mean, I agree. Like that was my whole issue with the whole situation. The whole situation was knowingly taking.
I don't think any of us believe that those substances should be on the list.
Yeah.
But guess fucking what?
They are.
They are on the list. You got the list.
Yep.
You know what the list says. We don't have to agree about what the list says or what it should say. But the list right now is the list until it's not the list anymore. When it's no longer the list, then great, you didn't cheat.
Yep.
But like right now, you cheated.
I think the most interesting thing about it and this is not me condoning cheating in any way, right? But if you just didn't say anything about it and you just like took the peptide and you healed and then you went and competed, it would have never been in question.
Yeah, even though I think that those things shouldn't be on the list, that does kind of make you ethically a little bit of a shitty person.
It does.
Because then
like I said, I'm not condoning it. Right.
But if you just don't fucking open your mouth, nobody knows.
Exactly. Because that's not really something, I don't know how they even test for peptides.
I would imagine it's not showing up on a piss test.
Right. So if you just don't say anything, and even if it does show up, you're not competing when you're hurt anyway if you got an injury, so just heal, and then when you compete.
Do we know what the half-life is on this? It's got to be pretty quick because of the way it is used. But just don't say anything. Don't incriminate yourself, but at the same time, very obviously and adamantly, a non-tested lifter.
Yeah.
If I was a tested lifter, I would bend the rules.
Within the rules.
That would operate within the rules because ethically, that's the correct thing to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with the rules, but you do have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
That's another thing that happens in every level of sport. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people that hate the new kickoff rules in the NFL. That's fine, all well and good. That's the way the game's played now. Tough shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rule's the rule. You know what I mean? You don't have to like it. That's just the way it is. I definitely don't like it, but at the same time, it is what it is. If you're willing to break those rules, it's going to make other people question how many other rules you have broken along the way. So it's just a matter of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe peptides are cheating in the physical sense. I don't believe that you're advantaged enough to make it illegal.
Right.
However, you knew going into it that the peptides were illegal.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple, you broke rules that you agreed to. Whether you like them or not doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we can talk about that till we're blue in the face, but that is.
At the end of the day, we're both on the same page on that. At the end of the day, cheating is cheating is cheating. So
I hate it because I have a lot of respect for that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody that I root for consistently
mm-hmm.
Because he is right now arguably one of Alabama's best chances to make Alabama worthwhile. Him and several others.
Yeah,
there's other people involved, including Coach. What sucks for the state of Alabama and our support of him is, even though I don't agree that those things should be legal. What sucks is the fact that they were, and the fact that he broke the rule anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And now, one of our best lifters, we kind of have to eat crow on because he knowingly did something he shouldn't have done.
Right. And then everyone's always going to question: did he take more? Did he take something else? Did he beat a test? Sucks.
That sucks. Not a lot of ethical when it comes to the existence of the list. There's a lot of ethical gray area, in my opinion.
Yep.
When it comes to just outright breaking a rule, it's black and white.
Yeah.
You either stayed within the rules or you broke it, and he broke it.
Yep.
So, like I said, you hate my take, like my take, whatever it may be. Broken rule's a broken rule. There's not a whole lot else to say about it. So, you got dad jokes? I really don't this time.
I have plenty. Let me just pull them up. Oh, shit. I was already in Instagram. Weekend over there.
Special guest.
Maybe. These mics do the clear filter does a pretty good job of getting all that stuff and killing
I almost looked up the wrong page because we were talking about a certain somebody.
Whoops.
Also, just another note before we get into if you don't like the fact that we didn't mention names, I wasn't comfortable doing it because it was somebody I have a lot of respect for, and he's a friend of friends. He's close to us, and I just don't feel like dragging his name through the mud does anything for us as people or as a show or in terms of standing with our friends or anything like that. I just don't feel like it was worth mentioning who.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to powerlifting, you can put two and two together. But I have enough respect for that person and the people around him to not fucking do that. So
Yeah.
if you have any issue with me not just outright saying who this person was, you can DM me. But I'm not going to do that in a public. And I told Nathan I wasn't going to do it, but I'm not going to do it in a public conversation.
Yeah.
So
Understandably so. So, dad jokes. Why is it a bad idea to iron a 4-leaf clover? You shouldn't press your luck. I tried to come up with a carpentry pun that would work. I think I nailed it, but nobody saw it.
They told me I'd never be good at poetry because I'm dyslexic. But so far I've made 3 jugs and a vase, and they're really lovely.
That's all that one today. This isn't really a dad joke, but I appreciate this one. I may have said it before. I asked an EOD guy once about the stress of bomb defusing. He shrugged and said, "It's not. I'm either right or suddenly it's not my problem anymore."
That's a good outlook on that. Why do cow milking stools only have 3 legs? Because the cow has the udder.
I saw that one too. I saw that one today. Oh man. Why was Fibonacci afraid of the number 5?
I don't know.
Because 5, 8, 13.
Good one.
Fibonacci sequence, guys.
Smart jokes. 9 months isn't really that long, but to some it feels like a maternity. Blah. It's 40 weeks, by the way. You're not off the hook completely in 9 months. Coming from somebody that has a pretty new baby.
A teacher asked to name a bird with wings that can't fly. So the student said a dead bird. He's not wrong. My boss told me to have a good day, so I went home.
Wise man. Told my waitress my coffee tasted like mud. She said it should. It was fresh ground this morning.
That's pretty.
That's all I got. I gotta wrap it up. I gotta piss again.
Oh my god.
I've had 3 drinks since we've stood here, to be fair.
Still. I got one more. This one's pretty good.
Okay.
What did one French man say to the other French man?
What?
I don't know. I don't speak French.
Damn it. Trip me up like that. Well, that was probably a
tangential part 5.
It might have been. I don't know. It was a little tangential, a little bit maybe, but
that
was probably I probably said specifically a lot of things that maybe were controversial, and that's fine. I don't really give a fuck. I think it's controversial or not. That's what keeps people listening. 1 and 2. That's actually how I feel. So, either like it or you don't. I don't hate anybody for any opinions that they have. I'm very, very open to talk to people about that. So if you want to talk about it, let me know. We'll talk about it and have an honest conversation about it. That being said, y'all keep in mind, something we've repeated several times. The rules are the rules of the rules. If you're given the rules and you've read the rules and you break the rules anyway, then you cheated. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So
hey, I can tell you Vegeta gives you a thumbs up.
I got a thumbs up from Vegeta.
On your opinion. For those who are listening.
That name has always sounds either strangely like a dish I couldn't afford to eat or something sexual. I don't know why. I hate Dragon Ball Z. That's the most controversial thing I'll say here. I think it's incredibly fucking dorky.
I love Dragon Ball Z, and it is absolutely...
Actually, I hate anime at large, so I don't know. That's the most controversial thing I said tonight, I promise. People get up in arms about my hatred for anime, but
I think it's just around here because there's plenty of people who hate anime. There's plenty of people who love anime. I'm very down the middle. I like good anime, but I also grew up with Dragon Ball, so that's why I like Dragon Ball.
I have a bet with KJ that if he does something, dots a certain thing in February or presses a certain thing, I forget, that I have to watch all of Attack on Titan.
You could appreciate Attack on Titan. I don't like it personally. I think you would like Death Note more than...
Yeah, I've had several people tell me Death Note would be my jam, but...
It's like a thriller.
You're talking about somebody that eats their Japanese food with a fork, so I'm not really concerned with
it's well, I mean, it's not even Death Note is not super anime.
Okay.
Like, it's animated, it's a cartoon, but it's not in the sense of like Dragon Ball Z. Like, it's not a shonen type.
Dragon Ball was so fucking boring.
Dragon Ball.
The fucking exchanges were just so fucking so dry.
It was incredibly corny.
All you Dragon Ball super fans, you might want to go get tested, see if you're on the spectrum. Do you like trains and Godzilla? If the answer is yes, maybe and Dragon Ball, maybe we should have a conversation.
Hey, the new Godzilla movies are pretty cool.
Here we go.
I like the new Godzilla movies. Especially there's that one scene, I think the
biggest tell is Star Wars or Star Trek, and fortunately I know Nathan's answer. So, but if it's Star Trek, the likelihood of you being on the spectrum is pretty goddamn high.
Let's just get every controversial sci-fi thing, nerdy thing ever.
Man, that autism's a superpower, so within reason. So
I couldn't.
Was it not the Australian strength coach that said the right combination of PEDs and autism would make anybody superhuman? There was a popular strength coach who made that statement that was obviously extremely controversial. But
I know all I know about Star Trek is my brother really likes it. I've never really given it
how's
a
your brother doing? How is he in social circles?
Not great. I love my brother.
I'm sorry, Zach.
I love my brother.
I don't know you personally, bud, and I'm sorry.
But he was also dropped on his head by my dad.
Do you play Dungeons and Dragons?
I tried. Now, I did play Baldur's Gate.
Is your favorite board game Settlers of Catan?
Oh, man. I've never played Settlers of Catan, but I know a lot about it.
Does your diet consist of macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, and chicken nuggets? Only.
Well, I can say I eat those
this
things.
Has become terribly out of pocket. I can't lie to
off brand. You're just attacking people now.
This is very off brand for me, but I feel as though it was low hanging fruit. I guess I should apologize.
Maybe a little bit.
I'm sorry. There is nothing wrong with any of these things.
Everyone can enjoy whatever
Everybody
they want.
Everybody can enjoy anything they want to. There is no judgment from me whatsoever.
I will say this. I do have one thing that I absolutely judge people on.
What's that?
Foot fetishes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to bring this up real quick and then we'll close. So there's my boss. I wasn't there at the time. My boss was saying something about her fingernails getting painted or something with her sister. And one of the older guys that works with me was like, "Oh, did you get your toenails painted too?" And she freaked out and was just like, "Stop talking. I don't want to," just like absolutely shut down and ran off. And I was like, "That's kind of odd." Like, and he was like, "Yeah, it was a pretty harmless question." I was like, "If you're getting your fingernails painted, you probably got your toenails painted." She apparently has a thing about her feet. Feet are gross. I get it. I'm the same way, but I'm not going to freak out to that degree. But then I was like, well, maybe she thought you were just like a weird foot person. He was like, well, I am. And I just like fucking just put my hands up and walked away.
Maybe
like,
she knew that and you didn't, right?
Maybe he did. Maybe she did. And I'm just like, bro, that's it. We're not talking about this anymore. I'm walking away now.
First of all, I'm not attracted to feet, but me and my wife had this conversation. I am unattracted to feet. If you have bad feet, it's probably it's about the equivalent of having bad teeth.
Yeah.
You can't do.
Yeah.
Can't do those things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's like definitely not attracted. Definitely not a foot fetish
right.
person. 100% don't give a fuck. But
bad feet
that's a problem. Yeah. There's probably something medical going wrong and you need to have that addressed. Like,
right.
If you don't take care of those, what else don't you take care of? That's the only thing I gotta say. Like,
yeah.
But I don't understand, the attraction to it. But I tell you what is really funny is all the foot fetish memes.
Yeah.
Like talking about like boobs guys and butt guys, and then there's the
other
one, the feet guy. Like, I don't want anybody to out themselves, but like, I'm not 100% sure if you're a foot guy, you're welcome here. That's really, really odd. It's also super, super fucking invasive in a way that I can't explain.
I guess I can't understand it. Maybe I just have a small brain, but like,
Yeah, I'm not on board.
I'm not on board.
I'll tell you this, though, recommendation real quick. The King of the Hill episode about Peggy's big feet, where she accidentally gets lulled into having photos of her feet taken, is an elite episode of King of the Hill.
Ends up in some food or something.
Yeah, you should absolutely watch that episode of King of the Hill.
I remember that. I think that probably was burned into my brain as a child.
That's probably my first recollection of feet people existing.
That's fair.
Dude, that's just a horrendous and terrifying segment of kink that I can't explain or get behind or like identify with whatsoever. Boy, we really covered it all in this episode.
I was gonna say, you want to hate on some more kinks, or
we just close? No, I think that's probably the only one I really have to hate on. To be honest,
you don't hate on furries.
Oh yeah, I have a lot to say about that too.
I was gonna say, as much as you hate anime, you have to hate furries.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It would make. I'm gonna say this blanket statement right here. I realize not all anime fans are furries, but I promise you, all furries are anime fans. I would bet goddamn money on it.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
So all I'm saying to anime fans out there is be careful who you associate with.
You might turn into a furry one day. Before you know it, one day I was a normal dude walking down the street. I just watched some anime, and the next day I was in a dog cage with a leash on.
Not all rectangles are squares, but all. Wait, what is it? Yeah. All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares, right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, just be careful
Something
who you're
like
hanging
that.
around
Something
with.
like that.
That's I would be willing to bet the same thing could be said about foot fetish people.
What is the gateway to foot fetish? That is my question. Like, what is it that makes you suddenly like that? I don't.
That has to be rooted in some childhood trauma, something like that. That has to have there has to be deep psychological implications, like something to make you go that way. I mean,
yeah, this was definitely a tangential episode.
I said a lot of things that's going to get me canceled. Thank God we only have 20 listeners.
I don't know. I think most people who actively listen are either just going to turn it off at this point, or if you made it to this point in the episode, congratulations. You don't get anything.
No.
Your life probably got a little worse.
That's I don't think I've laughed this hard on a episode in a while. But yeah, just remember, not all anime fans are furries, but all furries are anime fans. That's my parting wisdom. You can listen to us on Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Watch and listen to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. Give us likes, dislikes. Leave comments. Cancel me. Follow us on Instagram at Coleman_Barbell, at Nathan Skiddios, at Sip It and Rip It. Like I said, send us DMs. Tell me how off base I was. It's really not that bad. None of this is that serious to me, so you're not going to hurt my feelings. Also, though, approach me with respect. Don't just be fucking mad about what I said and treat me like shit, because I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to have a real conversation with you about it. I've said controversial things before. Something I repeat often is that violence is necessary a lot, and every time I say violence is a necessary part of life, I get a little bit of heat and a little bit of hate from it. So I'm not scared of it, but just know that I'm going to talk to you respectfully, and I expect you to do the same thing to me. So that's the only requirement to enter this conversation. I'll talk to you about whatever you want me to.
I'm not going to come at you with the, hey, stop shit talking anime. Quit comparing us to the furries.
I don't think there's anybody that can deny the statement that I said.
I mean, as someone who watched anime a lot growing up,
you can't really. It's pretty.
I was in that kind of, not necessarily that culture, but I was around those type of people, and I knew some people who probably either were borderline or heading that way or something. And it's like, yeah.
I mean, just pay attention. Just pay attention to social cues, y'all. If you don't believe me, just fucking open your eyes.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Y'all have a good night. Bye. Bye, y'all. There we go.